The Joe Murray Show Open is now a relic. How about that? Skaz is going to need to talk about the second place he met Joe Murray. Unless that was also at a Hooters. I don't know. That was back when, I would assume, when Skaz was on the street team, along with myself, street team alumni. But me and Stenberg were just talking about that before the show. We were trying to think of random things to talk about. And then I heard it in the open, like, oh, hey, that's right there. But we'll take your calls all night. Bruins, Celtics, Red Sox. I'm here if you want to call. We can nerd out on the Patriots. The adults are gone. We can play. You want to do backup guard. You want to do kick returner position battle. You want to do third tight end. 617-779-0985. I'll take your calls on it. But I do want to start with this trade for the Bruins because finally the Bruins have woken up and done something. We've seen teams around the NHL, really in their division, start to load up here early in this offseason, and there was a lot of questions about where the Bruins were, and the press conference they had earlier this week, the pre-draft press conference, I don't think they got knocked. Don Sweeney and them got knocked for saying they were going to take more of a status quo approach. I don't think that some of the individual pull quotes made it seem a little stronger there than it was, but I understand where that came from and just who the Bruins have been the last few years. So you see all these other teams making moves. The Bruins are not. And it's okay. Are they just going to stand pat? They could sell. They have pieces to sell. It seems like a seller's market and go to the bottom. It's probably going to be easy to go to the bottom in this division when you look at who they'll be playing. Shouldn't be tough to get back into the top of that lottery. Or should they load up and try to compete? And the last thing you want to see them do, which is what they've done for a long time, is straddle and stay in the middle. But this could be a swing. So J.J. Peterka, who they're rumored to be trading for, 24 years old, and just turned 24. So he turned 24 in January. So this is his age 24 season. So still a very young guy. Was the 34th overall pick in the 2020 NHL draft. Spent a year in the AHL, then went to Buffalo. He was in Buffalo, played 3 years and change in Buffalo. Career high 68 points in 77 games 2 seasons ago. 27 goals, 41 assists. Becomes a restricted free agent, ends up getting traded to Utah. Had a down year in Utah last year. 47 points in 82 games. You see some of the stuff that's coming out on social media. Maybe the Mammoth weren't the most happy with what they got out of him. So the Bruins are buying low. They're buying low on a distressed asset, which, you know what, is okay. Is perfectly okay. And they're adding youth, speed, and skill, which they have desperately needed. And another German player with Marco Sturm. All right, we're getting a little closer here. Emily Kaplan 3 minutes ago. The Utah Mammoth are sending J.J. Peterka to the Boston Bruins. Utah's return is multiple first-round picks, a source said. So the Bruins obviously have some extra firsts down the road in terms of, the trade of Florida, the trade of Toronto, things like that. I don't think they're going to trade that Toronto pick. I would imagine it's going to be 23 tonight and then one other non-Toronto pick, but we'll see. We'll keep you posted. But it does seem like this is happening. When about half an hour ago this broke, it was the Bruins are finalizing, and I think there was something that they had a couple offers on the table, and the Mammoth were considering their options, I believe was the phrasing from, I think that was Elliot Freeman. It's one of the hockey insiders. They were all throwing that out there. It became a little tough to sort out. But it looks like the Bruins are going to be adding, again, speed. Really, speed and skill are the big ones, but youth. Speed, skill, and youth up front, which they really needed, and it's going to cost them multiple first-round picks. But you know what? We've said this with the Bruins for a long time. How do we trust them to use those picks? Do we trust them to use those picks and develop those players? So they have theirs this year, which is 23rd, which I would imagine is going. They have their pick and Florida's pick next year. And then they have their pick and that Toronto pick in 20. I believe that's locked into 2028 now. I'm not. I know there were some weird conditions on that. Toronto owed another team a pick, and then they ended up at the top of the order here this year, the first overall pick, which I don't believe has officially been made yet, but is in all likelihood going to be Gavin McKenna. But the Bruins are on the board with a move. You want to react to it? This move we think is happening. I mean, it'll be easier to react to once we know what they gave up. Multiple firsts can mean a couple things, but 617-779-0985. You want to react to this Bruins trade? We'll get into the Celtics later as well, but if you want to talk about that, you guys call in. We can get to what you want to get to. I see you loaded up with Celtics calls. We'll go to Celtics. I see you loaded up with Red Sox calls. We'll go to Red Sox. I see you loaded up with Patriots calls. We'll go to Patriots on this summer night here in Boston. A lot going on for a dead time on the calendar. We got Red Sox, Yankees. We got the NHL draft, the Bruins trade, the Celtics in the middle of some major trade rumors. All of it for the next 4 hours. It's Alex Barth in for Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
now, pair of first-round picks. Ty Anderson, who will be joining us as soon as he's done with his duties for 98.5thesportshub.com, and he'll have reaction there, saying he imagines one of these picks is the Florida pick. If it's 23, which is the Bruins' first-round pick, scheduled first-round pick tonight, and then that pick from Florida, which is next year, I think that's a good trade for the Bruins. Now, I admittedly don't know. I'm not a J.J. Peterka expert. I didn't watch a ton of Utah Mammoth hockey this year. He did play for the Sabres. I remember more when he played for the Sabres. But this is everything that they haven't added that we've been looking for them to add. Speed, skill, youth, upside. Had a down year last year in Utah in a not so great situation, right? But goals the last 3 years, 28, 27, 25. He had 68 points 2 years ago on a bad Buffalo team. So to give up, are you going to get a player, especially where all right, so they're not going to sell off and go to the bottom. You need to start being competitive sooner rather than later. Is the 23rd pick going to help you this year? No. Even next year, probably not. And given their track record, maybe never. Where's Fabian Lysell? When are we going to see this kid? Like, really see him? I know he's played a couple games. Really see him? So you move that up. You get a guy that's still young, that still has a future, but will help you now. And then you trade that Florida pick that could end up being the 32nd pick. That team has a ton of talent. When the Bruins initially made that trade and sent Marchand there, it felt like he was the finishing piece to capitalize on a closing window. And by the time that pick conveyed, Florida would be in rebuild mode. They dodged the rebuild, or at least it looks like they've dodged the rebuild. Look, if Florida ends up sucking and that becomes a top 10 pick, I don't know. I'm fine banking on that not happening. I think that's something you bank on not happening. So in that, I think the Bruins have done well to service the here and now. And it's not like an immediate win now move, because again, he's 24 years old. He'll be 25 in January. A guy that creates, a guy that doesn't need things set up for him, which they really haven't had. And they weren't going to get, I don't think, with the 23rd pick. So that helps them. Okay, and as I just said, as this comes in here from Pierre LeBrun, Stenberg, do we have the breaking news sounder? Can we hit that? I think the trade is in. Looks like the trade is in.
Sports Hub headlines.
Close. Anyway, I'll
Breaking sports news. Powered by Valvoline Instant Oil Change on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
So this, according to Pierre LeBrun, the pick's going to Utah from Boston for J.J. Peterka. The 2026 first, that is tonight, the 23rd overall, and that 2028 pick from Florida, but it is top 10 protected. So if the Panthers do somehow trip and fall over themselves and go to the bottom, they're fine. Great trade. That's a really good trade. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I think they bought kind of low on a distressed asset. Now, 2 first-round picks isn't low, but when you look at what some of these players have been going for this offseason, and you get that pick protected, so it really, what it should be is 2 picks in the 20s. 2 picks in the 20s for a guy that is 24 and is a 25-goal scorer. In on that. Now, he still needs centers. He's a wing. He's not a forward. I think I said forward earlier. He is a wing. So they still need to answer the center question. Their biggest question is left unanswered. But they also just needed to add good players and add skill, and they've done that. And that's good. That's encouraging. So good start. Good start for the Boston Bruins here in the offseason. They still have some catch-up to play. They certainly still have some catch-up to play. But a good move. And also, If you were covering the draft tonight for the Bruins, your night got done early. You're going to have to stay up till what, 11 o'clock for the 23rd pick? Gavin McKenna just got announced. So this thing officially started at 7, and I'm sure they did some kind of intro. They didn't put the Maple Leafs on the clock at 7. Let me see if I can dial this up here on the old TV and see how long this pick clock is. The NBA did 5 the other night, and it was great. It dragged a little bit, I would say, later, but like 5-minute pick clock from somebody who covers the NFL, where we do like 10 minutes, that can really drag. So they haven't even put, at least on the broadcast, San Jose on the clock yet. They're still showing pick is in, and it's Gavin McKenna sitting with, is that Justin Bieber? Stenberg, is that Justin Bieber with Gavin McKenna? I think it is.
Yes.
That's quite a pull for the NHL draft. I know he's a big Maple Leafs fan, a big hockey fan, but he's geeking out. Justin Bieber is geeking out over Gavin McKenna. Okay, there's somebody, I can't tell who that is. I think that's Sportsnet. That's Canada. Somebody's there interviewing them, so it's not just the two of them together on a couch. That makes a little more sense. What a turnaround from Justin Bieber, by the way. I mean, I was the stereotypical, like, I didn't like Justin Bieber when I was growing up. Guy's just super chill now. Good for him. But Gavin McKenna on the board, yeah, that thing's going to drag. So if you're a Bruins writer, you had a long night ahead tonight. And, I mean, you're still going to have to, dissect the trade and do all that, but the Bruins made their move at about 7:20 instead of 11:20. That's 4 hours. That's a Friday night you get back. Biggest winner of this trade? The Bruins writers. Congratulations to them. Happy for them. Nice when things work out that way, isn't it? And we got some more reporting now that this trade is, in fact, done. So there you go. Good draft. Good first round for the Bruins. Good draft night for the Bruins. Let's go to the phones. Paul in Rhode Island on the Bruins draft. Paul.
Hey, Bart. Thank you for taking my call.
Thank
you for taking my call with Jim Murray on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to go with most of these drafts end up in Providence. But the other thing I got to talk about is this. And I'm being very honest, okay?
Okay.
You, Joe Murray, and Kendra Electra have to find your own show, okay? All right, baby? Because you three are so knowledgeable about college. You're an encyclopedia about college football, Boston sports. You have to find a way, or tell your boss to find a way to get you three on the same show. And as far as, I don't want to change stuff. I don't want to break up the Jays. I'd rather have LeBron here for 1 year, and that's it. And as far as the Pats, my man, Guido DeVito is the best backup quarterback for Drake May. Okay, my man?
All right. Thanks for the call, Paul. I really appreciate it. If you're listening.
No, I appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Right back at you. If anybody... sorry to drop you there. If anybody out there's listening, I'll do a show. Me, Jim, and Kendra sounds like a really fun show. I don't make the schedule. I just show up when they tell me to show up. I work with who they tell me to work with. I would, but there's some shows I'm more excited about doing than others. Certainly, I get a chance to work with Matt Stenberg tonight. I've known Matt Stenberg since I was 18 years old. I've been doing radio with Matt Stenberg since I was 18 years old. WICB up in Ithaca College. This is a cool show. I was looking forward to the show. And then we got some breaking news at the beginning. It helped even more. I would put me, Jim, and Kendra as a show I would very much look forward to. I do think that would be a fun show. Jim doesn't do a ton of random, he does Felger and Maz, and then he does Saturdays, 11 to 2. Chris Gasper, obviously sending the best to him. Hope he's back soon. But usually Gasper and Murray. Right now it's Murray and friends. He doesn't kind of bump around the way me and Kendra bump around the schedule. But if it ever were to come up, down. Let's make it happen. I think that would be fun. Some of his other points, I will get to the Jaylen Brown stuff. I'm with him. I wouldn't break him up. I don't know where that LeBron thing came from. I'm good there. And then, I would much rather trade those picks. So you're talking about the 26th pick probably isn't going to help until 28 at the earliest. And then the others, the 28 picks, you're talking about 29, 30. That's when this kid should be in his prime. Again, turns 25 in January, Paterka. Yeah, you just accelerated the pick a little bit. And they still kept that Toronto first, which if Austin Matthews asks out, could be valuable. So, good job. I'm in on it. Let's go to JP and NP. JP, what's up, man?
Broadside, I have to 100% disagree with you on the most important thing tonight. You cannot change that open. Hooters is a classic. My son was one of the last chefs at the Warwick location.
I'm not saying they have to change it. I'm just saying it's going to become a relic.
No. Hey, I'm a relic. I've been around.
There's nothing wrong with relics. There's nothing wrong with relics.
Nobody ever sends the food back. My son had the easiest chef job in the world. Nobody complains about the chicken wings and the fries. We need T-shirts. I would buy that. Murray met Skaz at the Hooters, right, in Dedham. Great place. As far as the trade, did you just tell me we have a young skater that can skate and can score, and Sweeney made a move? Amen, brother.
Right? What's happening here?
Get him on the first, second line. Amazing.
Where would you play him, JP? Who would you play him with?
This kid didn't want to. Utah. Imagine somebody just told you went from Utah to go live and play in Boston. This kid's going to have jump in his skates. Hagen, him, and get me get another wing. Let's put it together. Young kid skating, let him loose. Let's let him skate. I love the move.
Awesome, JP. Yeah, I love it too. I think it makes a lot of sense. And the fact they didn't have to touch their own pick, I mean, besides this year, but you know where this year is, right? This should be 2 picks outside the top 20 when it's all said and done. I don't think that Florida pick is going to end up that high. They should still be good in 2 years. They should still be a playoff team in 2 years. So I think it's a good trade. We're going to hit the headlines. I actually just got a text from Maz. Maz has a take on this that I'm going to pass along here after these headlines. And right back to it. Plus your calls. I see you guys on the line. You want to weigh in on this? We got a couple Patriots calls as well. 617-779-0985. It's Alex Barth in for Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
So you just heard it there. The Bruins have reportedly made a trade. Forward J.J. Paterka coming to Boston from the Utah Mammoth. Paterka had at least 25 goals each of the last 3 years. Going back to Utah, the Bruins' first-round pick in this year's draft, that's tonight. They were scheduled to pick 23rd overall. That now goes to Utah. Also, the 2028 first-round pick they got from Florida for Brad Marchand. And that pick in this deal is top 10 protected. Meanwhile, the NHL draft rolls on. The first round of the NHL draft now without the Boston Bruins. We're 2 picks in. Gavin McKenna going first overall to Toronto as expected. Ivar Stenberg to San Jose. We will talk on that a little bit. Talk about that a little bit more after these headlines. The Celtics are still reportedly talking to teams about a trade for Jaylen Brown. Shams Charania shared this morning the C's are looking for a return of 4 first-round picks. The Red Sox in action at Fenway Park through 1.5. They have a 1-0 lead over the New York Yankees. Wilson Contreras with the lone RBI. It's Peyton Tolley on the mound for the Red Sox against Will Warren. And in the World Cup, whole bunch of matches today already. Final, France beat Norway 4-1. That was down in Gillette. And Senegal beat Iraq 5-0. Getting underway at 8 o'clock, Cape Verde against Saudi Arabia and Uruguay against Spain. And then the 11 o'clock matches, New Zealand against Belgium and Egypt against Iran. Sports Hub headlines are brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Enjoy quick and convenient vehicle maintenance this month. Visit NewEnglandOilChange.com for 15% off your drive-thru oil change at Valvoline Instant Oil Change, the official oil change of busy people. I'm Alex Barth on Boston's Home for Sports, 98.5 The Sports Hub. Your next update at 8 o'clock.
listening to Joe Murray on 98.5. You're listening to Joe Murray on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Hi there, it's Bill Corey from AAA Work Trucks. If you want to hit a home run with your customers, be sure to have the right equipment for your truck or van. Give us a call or visit us at AAAWorkTrucks.com. That's AAAWorkTrucks.com.
table games, concerts, dining, a full hotel, and spa. Visit Bally'sLincoln.com and follow at Bally's Lincoln on Instagram. Must be 18 plus. Gambling problem? Call 877-9-GAMBLE. So again, the big news of the night, there's a lot going on. J.J. Peterka traded to the Boston Bruins for 2 first-round picks in tonight's NHL draft. You guys are reacting. We'll go back to the phone. Zach, in Pembroke. Zach, what's up?
Bartender, it's so great to hear from you, man.
What's going on?
Not too much. I actually really love this move. With Don Sweeney's history of drafting in the first round, absolutely terrible. Patriots still hasn't worked out. We've yet to see what Hagens is going to do for us. But I'm really looking forward to somebody that could step into that top 6 lineup for us. And then also I just heard that there's a potential for Darnell Nurse, a defenseman upgrade from Edmonton coming this way. So I'm interested to see if that could shake and change up the locker room. I want to hear your thoughts on it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the call. I know Darnell Nurse isn't regarded as the same player he was. I mean, how long? He's been in the league a while now, hasn't he? Yeah, he's 31. 12 years. He's kind of on the back end of it. But I don't know. I'm with Matt Dolph on this. I like, big, heavy defenseman, that kind of thing. Throws weight around a little bit. So I take Darnell. I'll take any shakeup at some point. They did not have enough talent. Darnell Nurse is a legit NHL talent. They did not have enough of that last year. I'm in on it. And yeah, I'd much rather them, especially it'd be one thing if they're trading these picks for guys in his 30s. And okay, now you're really changing the timeline of the organization. Again, the kid's 24. That's what I like so much about it. This is an ascending player. They get an ascending player without having to actually hit in the draft. Win-win. That's probably my favorite part about it, is the age here. But we'll still keep you posted on the NHL draft. Now 3 picks in. Caleb Malhotra goes to Vancouver, a center, after Gavin McKenna and Ivar Stenberg. So we were talking before we got Matt Stenberg producing tonight that he was contemplating getting a Stenberg jersey wherever he ended up. We do have a mutual friend, Stenberg, who is a Sharks fan. Is an Ivar Stenberg jersey in the cards.
Is this a one Vinny?
Yes.
Did he get drafted by the Sharks?
Vinny, no.
No, not Vinny.
Ivar Stenberg or Ivar, whatever it is, yes.
Oh, do I get a Stenberg? There's so many I feel like not so many, but there are enough Stenbergs in the NHL where I feel like I would have already gotten one if I cared that much. But San Jose might be just obscure enough of a hockey team to the point where I definitely would consider getting one.
I'm only seeing one other Stenberg active in the NHL right now.
I mean,
that would be
the fact that there's 2 is still kind of a lot for Stenberg. Right?
He debuted last year. And that is one Otto Stenberg. He plays for the St. Louis Blues.
We are invading the league. Barth.
You should get, remember when when Devin and Jason McCourty were both in the league and they weren't on the same team, and I forget the mother's name or what their mom's name is, but she had the half Patriots, half Titans jersey. You should get a half St. Louis Blues, half Sharks Stenberg jersey.
How would I go about doing that?
There's got to be somebody that makes those. I mean, they make the Brady half and half Patriots Bucks ones.
Mama Kelsey did that for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you might have to special order that.
I would. And am I willing to do that? Probably not.
I also just Ivar Stenberg is a better get than Otto Stenberg. Whose jersey is that? Otto Stenberg. Okay. Whose jersey is that? Ivar Stenberg. Because it's not Ivan. It's Ivar. Or Ivar. It's probably Ivar.
Us Stenbergs only play hockey, and I know nothing about hockey.
Well, which is funny, because the Stenbergs are in the NHL, but we had a bit, I don't know how involved you were in this bit. This was other friends of ours from college. There was a point where half of the relief pitchers in Major League Baseball looked like you. And we would go to Red Sox games.
Involved in this bit.
I definitely texted you about it at some point. This was 10 years ago. We would go to Red Sox games, and we'd look at the pick, the headshot of whoever was pitching for the away team, and half the time it looked like you.
There's a white guy with a red beard.
Yeah, basically. So okay, we might not have ever filled you in. Well, I'm filling you in now.
Well,
that was a bit.
Good
for a
to
little
know
bit.
now, live on the air.
That was a bit for a little bit, but none of them were named Stenberg. But you can't get if you just got a mask of a relief pitcher, nobody would care. If you get a jersey that says Stenberg, I would have gotten a Connor Barth jersey back in the day.
How many Barths are there? Are there a lot of Barths?
Not many.
I feel like are there more Barths than Stenbergs?
We could probably Google that. I do know this. The Barths I know of off the top of my head are Connor Barth, who was a kicker in the NFL for 7 or 8 years. He was with the Bucs for me. He was a solid player. Went to UNC. And then there is currently a linebacker at Stanford who transferred from Cal named Hunter Barth. I don't know any, and it's not. I'm not only picking sports ones. Oh no, the chick who plays Tammy Lynn in Ted, like Ted's girlfriend. I think it's Jessica. It's Barth. I think it's Jessica Barth.
Oh, now that I think about it, I think
Jessica Barth. Yes,
I think
no relation.
The chick that played Rue in Hunger Games. I think her last name is Stenberg.
So would you get a Rue jersey?
I don't know if the Hunger Games had jerseys, despite them being games.
That's true. They were games. Yeah. No, I can't think of that. I think there's more. I think there's more Stenbergs than Barths.
What's your country of origin?
It's all over the place. Barth is German.
Barth is German.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I thought Stenberg was Finnish until all these Swedish guys had the name Stenberg going into the league. And I was like, oh, maybe it's a Swedish name.
So I just Googled it, and whatever you want to count, however much you want to weigh the Google AI, there are far more Stenbergs than Barths. Globally, Stenberg is significantly more common, with thousands of individuals carrying the surname, often in Scandinavian countries like Sweden as well as the U.S. In contrast, Barth is a much less common surname worldwide.
I guess chalk one up for me then.
According to Wikipedia, Stenberg is the 11,874th most common surname in the U.S., belonging to 2,637 individuals. 93% of whom are white.
In the U.S.?
2,600.
Holy crap.
About Barth? Does it even have Barth? It doesn't even note Barth as a surname. In the UK,
that question.
There is it is an obsolete noun, a place of shelter for cattle. So I guess it was another word for barn at one point. But it says obsolete, so I'm going to guess they don't use that anymore. I've never once heard it used that way. People have done all sorts of things with my name. Barf, Barth Vader, the Darth Vader thing, that sort of thing. I've never once heard it used as a barn, but I guess I've opened the door for that. But yes, far more Stenbergs than Barths. I still think you should buy the jersey. Especially if he's bad. Imagine just having the jersey of a random NHL draft bust. That'd be kind of cool. My brother's a Jamarcus Russell jersey. Raiders Jamarcus Russell jersey.
I think the only NHL jersey I've ever owned was a Peter Forsberg jersey when he was briefly with the Flyers.
Yeah, because you're a Flyers guy. Is that how this came up, that he could have been a Flyer? But I'm looking at the Flyers don't pick until...
I don't think he ever would have been a Flyer. No, it was my buddy
21.
who's a Sabres fan.
Okay.
Texted me last night and was like, if the Sabres draft Ivar Stenberg, you got to get a jersey.
Well, now you have to do it.
Consider it. But the Sabres didn't draft him.
But all right. Well, because you had said to me earlier that he had said you should get if it's any team. By the way, update on the Bruins trade. Frank Saravelli saying that Florida pick is actually lottery protected. So not just top 10 protected as we initially saw, lottery protected. We'll see if we get a definitive answer on that. But either way, Bruins took care of themselves there. And hopefully we'll talk to Ty Anderson. He's busy writing this up, but we'll get to him at some point in the program and figure out what happened with this trade and get his thoughts on it and all of that. The NHL draft rolls on. I do want to get to the Celtics as well. We can do some Patriots if you want. I saw some of you on the phone. I'm sorry I didn't get to you. If you call back in, we'll get to you. 617-779-0985. Alex Barth in for Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
Does your home need a new roof? Get a free estimate today from Connell Roofing, the leading Massachusetts roofing company. Book your estimate today. Head to ConnellRoofing.com now.
Quality and professionalism every single time. I'll come back up for you.
At Amica Insurance, we know you'll always find ways to look out for the people you love. And with Amica Life Insurance, we'll help build a plan to make sure you always can. We're here to help protect the life you've built.
Really?
You can have another one. Amica. Empathy is our best policy. Visit amica.com and get a quote today.
Don't miss the ultimate fan watch parties. There's a big soccer match coming to town, and you can watch the games, win championship tickets, and much more. It's all going down at the Lighthouse Bar at Bally's Lincoln, June 11th, 19th, and 25th. All the details are on Bally'sLincoln.com. If that's not your thing, you can win $1 million on Saturday, June 27th, just by earning entries with your Bally's Rewards card. Details at Bally'sLincoln.com. Must be 18 or older. Gambling problem? Call 877-9-GAMBLE.
When you see a Gravely mowing the grass, you're looking at over 100 years of ingenuity in action. You're seeing a rugged, durable machine professional lawn service companies have relied on for generations. Or maybe you see a homeowner who demands the best, cutting their own lawn like the pros, whether mowing or on a trailer between jobs. When you see a Gravely, you're seeing greatness at work. Take your lawn mowing up a notch with a Gravely. See the full line at your local dealer.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Call 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now or go to carsforkids.org.
7 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too?
Hey, it's Felger here. There are certain things in life you don't cheap out on. You just don't. Parachutes, brakes, roof work, eye surgery, sushi from a place attached to a gas station, a tattoo from a guy named Sketch, a lawyer who says, I mostly do this on weekends. No. Hard pass. Because when something actually matters, the cheapest option usually has a reason it's cheap. And that reason usually shows up at the worst possible time. Same thing with moving. This is everything you own. Your furniture, your electronics, your valuables, the stuff you actually care about. So when some moving company is magically half the price of everyone else, ask yourself why. That's not a bargain. That's a warning label. DN Van Lines is the opposite of that. Professional crews, real planning, careful handling. You need more? Try this. DN Van Lines is an approved mover for the Department of Defense. Precision matters. Call 1-800-51-MOVER or go to dnvanlines.com.
Come celebrate summer at Bernardi Honda with our lowest prices of the year. Plus, get great financing rates on our hottest models. So don't wait. Come in today and save big at Bernardi Honda.
Super Service Today is hiring plumbers, HVAC techs, and drain.
Back here on 98.5 The Sports Hub, Alex Barth in for Joe Murray, taking your calls, 617-779-0985. Let's go to the phones. Matt in Rhode Island wants to talk Patriots. Matt, what's up?
Hey, Bart.
Hey.
I was wondering what you were hearing, because I heard a couple teams or several teams are interested in Kayshon Boutte as far as what they were offering. If it was a draft pick, I would be out. If it was something that they really needed on the team as far as a depth piece on either side of the ball, I would think so. But like I know he's this kind of redundancy with AJ Brown, but I know we would lose him after this year. But he showed me a lot. I think I think you need him as a depth piece. I think he's going to ball out this year if he gets a chance. Thanks. I'll listen to hear what you have to say. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Matt. I mean, that's kind of contradictory there. You need him as a depth piece, and he's going to ball out. It's one or the other. And that's what it comes down to. It's not good for him to stay here. He wants out. He should want out. It's a contract year. He needs to show what he can do so he can go somewhere else and get paid. And keeping him here does not do that. So I ultimately think they end up dealing him. Look, I don't think he's unprofessional. I don't think he's a bad guy. I actually really am impressed with how he's handled himself, the way his Patriots career has gone. You go back to his rookie year, plays in the opener, makes the misplay, doesn't get his foot down, it costs him the game, gets benched basically for the rest of the year, gets kind of written off the next 2 years, still comes out and produces. I mean, 500 yards. He wasn't a Pro Bowl or anything, but he was solid. Now he has a chance to make some real money. He's a young guy, too. He's going to hit free agency relatively young. I think he's 24. Yeah, he turned 24 in May. So he's going to have a chance to make some money if he has a good year. He's not going to have a big year here. He needs to prove he can do beyond what he's done in New England. He's never had more than 589 yards in a season. And I don't want to dump on the guy, but he's talked about like he's a 1,000-yard receiver. Maybe he could be, but he hasn't been. And you get paid more money for being that guy than having the potential to be that guy. That's the reality. He's not going to be a 1,000-yard receiver if he stays here. If A.J. Brown is fully healthy, and he's not going to bet on A.J. Brown getting injured. And also, by the way, they have Mac Hollins who can play that role, and Kyle Williams, who they should still want to develop, who was a top 100 pick. He's not going to have a chance to be a 1,000-yard receiver. Now, he may not be a 1,000-yard receiver, period, but he's not going to have a chance to find out here. If he gets traded, he'll have a chance. Now, to the caller's point, I would much rather trade Kayshon Boutte for a player than a pick. They have plenty of picks, especially the reporting's been like a 5th-round pick. They have a bunch of 5th and 6th. They don't need another mid-day 3 pick. They're good. I would rather trade him for a player. I'd really like to trade him for an edge rusher. I've written about this, 985thesportshub.com. I would call the Giants Kayvon Thibodeau. I think that makes all the sense in the world for both teams. Patriots get an edge rusher they desperately need. The Giants get a receiver they desperately need. Thibodeau's probably, they're both in contract years. Thibodeau's probably a little bit of a better player, but the Patriots could throw in one of those extra 6 they have. Like, I'm not losing sleep over that. I'd even do like Kayshon Boutte in a 5th. Kayshon Boutte in a 4th, if it comes to it, really, for Kayvon Thibodeau. Because I'm really worried about the Patriots pass rush. I am. But I do think you're better off getting a pick for him. Because it's going to be uncomfortable if he's here. And I don't think he's going to, again, he's not going to go like Brandon Ayuk and just become nuts about it and be a problem. But that's going to create a weird dynamic in the locker room. And that's just not something I think they need. Just to lose him at the end of the year. You're just asking for, that's a situation that I don't necessarily think would go bad, but there's a path to it going bad pretty quickly. And I just don't think it's worth that risk to keep him. Not with A.J. Brown and the other depth they've built out at the wide receiver position. So I haven't heard anything new on it. That's the other thing. I don't think they're in a rush to do this. I don't think they need to be in a rush to do this. You can let training camp play out and see maybe his value ends up going up. Maybe some team has a wide receiver injury or something else happens to somebody's wide receiver. Like you look at the Chiefs, if something else comes up with Rashee Rice or if Tyquan Thornton gets hurt or whatever. Right now, maybe you have a team that's trying to contend, that's a little more desperate. And now that 5th-round pick that's rumored to be his trade value becomes a 4th. Or maybe you get a better player. Somebody, a rookie pops somewhere, a player suddenly becomes on the roster bubble, and you can trade him. They're not going to cut Kayshon Boutte. I would be very surprised if Kayshon Boutte gets released by the New England Patriots. He could very well be here for camp. I don't think he's going to be on their week 1 roster. I think he ultimately gets traded. It's just a matter of what that's for, and that's going to come down to what kind of deals are out there. So there is something to be said for be patient, wait, see if the market gets any better. It's probably not going to get worse. I doubt he plays much. He's not going to want to do a ton of camp. We saw it in minicamp. He didn't participate in the last day. So he's probably mainly going to be in the background until he gets dealt. But then you see what happens. And maybe the market explodes. Maybe the market gets a little bit bigger. And if it doesn't, then you trade him for the 5th. And I still think that's the right move when it's all said and done. The Bruins trade is official. It is their first-round pick this year. The Florida pick is top 10 protected. If it lands in the top 10, the Bruins can choose to send it or delay it a year and then send their own 2029 first unprotected. So that's the machinations on it. That's not going to be a top 10 pick. So they'll end up sending that pick to Utah. That's a good trade. That's a good trade for the Boston Bruins. Well done. Happy about it. We will talk to Ty Anderson momentarily. Let's do that. We'll take this call from Justin. Then we're going to do the headlines. We'll come back from the break. Then we'll go to Ty. So let's go to Justin and Lynn first. Justin, what's up?
Hey, Alex. I would like to talk about the J.J. Peterka trade. I like the deal. He's 24 years old. I think he's got good speed. I think he'll add some punch to this team. Your thoughts real quick?
Yeah, Justin, he definitely adds punch. He adds punch, he adds pop. He's a playmaker. Good skill, good speed. He's not just another bully on the roster that they've had. He gives them something. He gives them a dynamic. He gives them an angle that they haven't had. And so I think and they really didn't. It's 2 first-round picks. As far as 2 first-round picks go, they really didn't give up that much. And when you factor in what their track record is with these picks in recent years, all the more reason that take them. Take them. I'm good. Take them. So again, if you missed it, the Bruins trading for J.J. Peterka. It's just fun to say. Have you said it yet, Stenberg? Say it. J.J. Peterka.
J.J. Peterka.
It's not necessarily one of those ones that's going to be great in a Boston accent. I always wanted Darwin Bonnie to play for the Red Sox.
Peterka?
Peterka? Yeah, all right. Yeah,
I don't have a Boston
that
accent.
J.D. Peterka kid or whatever his name is. Maybe that works. We'll have Ty weigh in on that and more. We're going to get to these headlines, no commercials, and then Ty Anderson joins us to react to the Bruins trade coming up next here on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
From the Town Fair Tires and News. Dutcher and Hardy. Owen Beetle. Felger and Mass. The Bruins. The Celtics. The Pats. The Revolution. This is Boston's home for sports. WBCFM.
Here on 98.5, the Sports Hub, the Bruins have made a trade. J.J. Peterka for 2 first-round picks, a draft night deal. Nobody's going to have a better breakdown of this than Ty Anderson. He's already got something up on 98.5thesportshub.com, and he joins us now. Ty, thank you for joining us on this busy night to react to the Bruins' first big move of the offseason.
Oh, I mean, yeah, and thanks for having me. It's better than reacting to them trading Andre Gassot's rights and signing guys to minor league deals. So they say they want to get in on a big move, and sure enough, it presents itself on Friday. I think Bruins fans wanted it earlier, but better late than never, and J.J. Peterka is now a Bruin.
What was your gut reaction? What was your initial reaction when you saw the tweets coming out with Peterka linked to the Bruins?
Yeah, I think the first thought you have with any trade they make is like, okay, what's the untouchable, right? Like you think Letourneau, because a lot of teams are asking about him and they want him because given the way that he's striding at Boston College, and then you think about the Toronto pick and you think about their own pick, and if you're going to make a hockey trade, and this isn't technically a hockey trade, right? But like if you're going to make a big draft night trade and you're going to trade 2 assets that are upper echelon, the 23rd overall pick and the Florida pick, which does have some protections on it, I think it's probably the least risky move you could make involving their current draft picks, right? Like we look at them and they are a regression candidate. That they may be good next year, they may be bad next year. So I wouldn't want to trade that pick that the Bruins own next season because you don't know what next season's going to bring. So I think if you're making a big trade and you have to give up multiple assets to bring in a proven talent, 23rd overall, and that Florida pick, I mean, that's kind of the recipe right now. And sure enough, it played out exactly that way.
Yeah, I said it earlier. My gut, I feel like they didn't give up a lot. And it's 2 first-round picks, so they objectively did, but this feels like the least version of giving up a lot they could be. And no players, no prospects, just the 2 picks.
Right, and let's see how the draft board breaks. Like, there are some defensemen that I really liked that if they fall to 23, I'm kind of like, now I'm a little bummed. But again, you got to give up something to get something. I think the biggest thing I look at it this way, Alex, is that like they are clearly not waving the white flag on competing and trying to be a team that still wins hockey games. I think you looked at this market and you looked at kind of what they were saying. I thought, if you listen to Sweeney and you watch him, he does speak in sort of coded language. He never wants to box himself in a corner. And sifting through half an hour of audio from the other day, I was kind of like, they don't know. They don't know what they want to do. Like, they want to leave every door open, every avenue open, where if someone calls and says, hey, we want Pavel Zacha and we'll give you 13th overall, like, they don't want to say, oh, well, we've already said we're not going to trade off this roster. Like I think they were leaving their options open, but a move like this kind of tells you they still think they can be a team that makes noise in the playoffs. Now, if that is the case, Peterka is one of several moves they have to make, but I mean, this move tells me that they're not looking towards the future. They're still thinking about the Pastrnak, McAvoy, Swayman window that is currently there for them.
All right, before we get to those future moves, let's talk about Peterka. You called him a proven commodity, which 25 goals, at least 25 goals in 3 consecutive seasons, had a bit of a down year production-wise last year in Utah, but is only 24 years old. So a proven commodity, but a guy that, I agree with you in the sense that they're still looking at the Pastrnak, McAvoy, Swayman window, but this is also kind of a move for the future, right? This is a guy with upside. This isn't trading picks for a 30-year-old to try to get a sudden injection of life. This is a guy that should get better as long as he's here, right?
Yeah, and I mean, if you compare this to the rumors that were going around today about Brock Besser maybe being an option for the Bruins, that would have made no sense to me. So this is clearly, to your point, the better avenue to go down. The good with J.J. Peterka, he's fast as all hell. He's a speedy player. He's good on the rush. He can make something out of nothing, which if you watch them in the playoffs, they need more guys like that. So to bring him in, I think that's a good move. And he's just another player that you can slot either opposite Pastrnak or you can put him with James Higgins. Like, it just gives you more offensive pop. And if the playoffs told us anything, it's that this team just a little too slow, I think, in April and May to win games. And so Peterka addresses a major need in that regard. Now, the bad with him is that defensively, he's going to be an adventure. But again, when you're as talent-starved and goal-scoring starved as the Bruins are, you can't get bogged down in the details about a player like that. You have to bring in the talent and hope you can, manage him the right way, deploy him the right way. The other bad, though, is that, he had a great year in Buffalo a year ago. And the Sabres really, they weren't heartbroken over losing him, which I always find kind of telling. Talking to some people in Buffalo, they were saying, like, yeah, well, we'll be fine. And I was like, you'll be fine? Like, what do you mean? You're trading a guy who had 71 points. Like, looks like a great player for you guys. You're going to be fine? The feeling was that he didn't impact winning games enough. But again, this is a new atmosphere, new environment. He's going to have ample opportunity to impact winning hockey games here for the Boston Bruins. And so I think the good outweighs the bad with a player like this. And you hope that Marco, being a fellow German, can connect with him and kind of go from there.
Again, we're talking to Ty Anderson. He's got more in the trade right now on 98.5 thesportshub.com. All right. Like you said, if they want to contend, this is a good first move, but they got to do something next. In particular, you listed about 4 or 5 wings that he could play opposite of. Who's playing in between them? What are they going to do about the center position?
Yeah, I'm still listening on Zacha if I'm the Bruins. I just don't see a world where you can give a combined $15 million to Elias Lindholm and Pavel Zacha when you have obvious questions about both players, and both players are going to be in their 30s throughout their next contracts. And so I would still listen on that. I think they got to clear off some money. This edition, Peterka makes $7.7 million a season, which is not horrible, but it is quite a bit. Now they have about $8.7 million in cap space, and they still need a defenseman, maybe 2. So I think they got to look at clearing some money off their books. I'd wonder about a guy like Casey Middlestad. I'd wonder about a guy like Pavel Zacha, like we talked about. Do they have some guys they can move? Henry Jokiharju, Mason Lohrei. I'm not ruling out another trade here. I just feel like their next move should be on the back end. They need a defenseman. I'd go younger. I would. I think you just. Rasmus Anderson is a good player, but you're going to get 3 good seasons out of him, and then you're going to be hoping that he doesn't age like milk. So, and 3 good seasons may be generous, honestly. So I just feel like they got to make another trade for a younger, cost-controlled defenseman. Maybe you're trading a lefty for a righty. You're trading Lohrei and you're bringing in a righty version of Mason Lohrei who you think you can work with and maybe make better. But you kind of look at their defense, man, like they really are lacking behind Charlie McAvoy. We criticize Charlie McAvoy, and I wonder, is it Charlie McAvoy or is it the fact that he's dragging an AHL caliber guy around for 40 games a year, right? And that's not a knock on Jonathan Aspero, but on a contender, Jonathan Aspero is a number 6 defenseman, not riding opposite on your top pairing. I just feel like that's their next move, and we'll see what happens, but it's going to cost an arm and a leg to get that defenseman.
So you mentioned that there were some defensemen in the draft that you'd like, and I assume in the 20s, those aren't guys that are going to come in and play right away, but you also mentioned a number of guys the Bruins could move on from, free up some money. Do you think there's a chance they end up back on the board tonight? Could they move any of those players and get back into the first round?
I don't think so. I think a lot of these teams that have made moves already to trade their first-round picks, I think those trades have already happened, right? Like it's always good to be the first team in the mix, right? The first team that makes that trade, and everyone's going, oh, man, you got that return for that player? That's crazy. Like I feel like being the 7th team or the 6th team to do that, the return is not going to be as impressive. I will say this, though. And we're doing this during the draft, so things can change, obviously. But St. Louis has 4 first-round picks. You're going to make all 4? Do you want to make a trade? You look at who's behind the bench in St. Louis. It's Jim Montgomery. Who loves Pavel Zacha and Mason Lohrei and players like that? Jim Montgomery. So I would wonder if you're going to make a move, is that the team you'd call? I'd also look at tomorrow. Calgary has a lot of picks in the second round. A lot of them are pretty high up. Calgary was really hot for Mason Lohrei during the failed pursuit of Rasmus Anderson. Could you revisit that and say, hey, we'll give you Lohrei plus this and our own second to move up if one of these defensemen that we're talking about fall out of the first round, which can happen. It happens every year. So they do have options. It's just I don't know if they're going to get the return that they may have gotten on those kind of players this time, 4 days ago, 5 days ago.
It's me. I got to ask kind of a draft nerd question. The Bruins do still have 5 picks in this draft remaining. Anything you're looking for them to do tomorrow? Players you like or, potential positions or types of players you think they'll target?
Well, it's not going to happen now because they traded their first round pick. But I like the stories of twins playing on the same team.
Okay.
And there are two twins, the Ruck twins. They played in the WHL.
Oh, I've seen this.
Yes, I would have loved if they made a play for that. I'm dying to know where they go. If you get the others, there's two of them. One's a first round talent. The other one is like a early second, mid second. But Ottawa has back-to-back picks in the first round. Do they say, screw it, we're going to go with the Twins? Like, I'd wonder, right? But, like, I'm a big fan of the Twins playing on the same team. That was my hope for the Bruins. So that's kind of out the window. But I guess to answer your question, like, I needed we're in the era, Alex, of the undersized defenseman who is undersized, the world knows it, and he still produces, right? Lane Hudson, Quinn Hughes.
Yeah.
You go up and down the list. Like, teams are not afraid of drafting these guys anymore. And if there's a dynamic playmaker available, I think you gotta grab that guy. Just because this team, defensively, pipeline-wise, they do not have a high-end defensive prospect. They're not going to get one tonight in the first round, barring a trade. So I think really in that second round, that third round, you got to get creative. And if there's a guy there who is 5'10", but he put up 68 points in 40 games, give me that guy. Let's take the chance. Let's have some fun. Talent is the name of the game. They need more talent up front and on the back end, but specifically, I think, on the back end.
All right, before we wrap it up here with Ty Anderson, just to go back to the point again, the news tonight, the Bruins trading 2 first-round picks for J.J. Peterka, which remains very fun to say. What's your projection for him this year? What do you think he does? And again, we talked about it. This is a long-term play, a guy who's 24 years old. But just this year, What kind of season do you think the Bruins get out of him? Does he stick to that 25 goal mark that he's hit the last 3 years? Does he get back close to being a 70-point-per-game player? Is going to be closer to the 50 he had last year in Utah?
Well, assuming that he's going to probably bump Morgan Geekie out of the top power play unit, perhaps. He has the potential here to have a 30-40 kind of season. 30 goals, 40 assists, 70 points. If you hit that, you're happy with him. I wonder, honestly, Alex, I wonder if watching Nikolai Ehlers and the way he played for Carolina made them more open to a guy like Peterka who, again, you can just send it. Hey, high flip, he's going to win that race, he's going to have a breakaway, and he might score a goal that way. Like, the Bruins had success doing that against Buffalo with slower skaters. Now imagine throwing him in here. You know what I mean? Like, he may get 30 breakaways this year, right? If you can convert on 15 of them, there's 15 more goals for you on top of your impact at 5-on-5 play, normal offensive play, if you want to call it that. So, he's going to have a great window here. He immediately steps in as your second best winger behind David Pastrnak. They got to deploy him as such. He is a right winger with a left shot, so I wonder if they move him to the left side and maybe try that a little bit, where they say, hey, we can put you with Pastrnak, when we're trailing. Let's see how that looks, right? And can you get some goals that way? So he has the potential to hit 70 points, I think, in this system, because he's going to get minutes on minutes on minutes. He's going to be out there for the power play. He's going to be out there when they're chasing a game in the third. And so I do feel like that's going to help them a lot and going to help him a lot in terms of his numbers, especially if guys regress, right? Like we talked about, right? Guys regress and Geekie's not connecting on 20% of his shots, he may get bumped down, and Peterka gets bumped up. So there's that possibility as well.
Ty Anderson has more on this trade, and we'll have more on this trade on 98.5thesportshub.com. Also, I would imagine at some point, new Sports Hub Underground, you and Matt Dolph will get to this deal as well and what the Bruins do in the draft. So go there and check all that out, draft coverage, and again, Sports Hub Underground podcast.
Awesome, Alex. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ty. Thanks for that. Was last minute. I nothing against Ty and not planning on having him on the showdown. I had said, hey, if we're still on the air when they make their pick, and it's probably going to be around 11 o'clock, which is when we get done here, Stenberg, come on, talk about the pick. But that was Ty jumping in. As soon as trade got done, it was, let me write this up and we'll go on. And that's how we do it over at 98.5thesportshub.com. That's 80 minutes on the Bruins. I know we did a little Keishon Boutte in there, but I feel pretty good about that. But I
feel like we did it justice.
I think we did. And I got to say J.J. Peterka a lot, which was fun.
Fun name.
But we've got other stuff going on. The benches just cleared at Fenway. I didn't quite see what caused that, so I'll have to get caught up on that. We'll get to the Red Sox in a little bit. I do want to talk Celtics. We will have Jack Simone joining us at 8:35. But first off, I got to get to the latest on the Jaylen Brown stuff because this thing, the more this goes on, the less it makes sense. And I am now officially annoyed. And I've really been on a ton since this all broke. I have thoughts. And there are two people in particular who are not being talked about enough, dare I say not getting enough blame for the situation the Celtics are in and the Celtics being in this situation that I want to address. We'll do that next. Plus your call, 617-779-0985. It's Alex Barth in for Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Engaged in trade conversations around Jaylen Brown with multiple interested teams. We know they went after Giannis. They offered Jaylen Brown and 2 unprotected first-round picks. They missed out on Giannis. He ends up in Miami. And so now they're left to really pick up the pieces, deal with the fallout. There's been some hard conversations. So where does this go from here? We know they tried to get Giannis, but what's the ask now? My understanding is in some cases the Celtics have asked teams for at least 4 first-round picks for Jaylen Brown. He's got 3 years left on his contract at a supermax clip. So where does that put him as far as his value? And if this is a Boston team that's been contending in the Eastern Conference, and their potential ask for some teams is a package of picks and players. How have they reimagined this roster moving forward, their finances, their viability as a contender in the Eastern Conference? But I do think as of right now, time will tell which side will bring the urgency to this matter this offseason.
I want to talk about this thing as a whole, though, because it's so unlike the Celtics, unlike this or what this organization has become under Brad Stevens, who I have come on here time and time again and sung the praises of. I think I was on with you. I was on recently talking about I think he's better for the Celtics than Jason Tatum. I said because I trust him not to put Jason Tatum in a bad position. And now I'm eating those words because he might have just done that. So they try to trade Jaylen Brown for Giannis, but they stop at Ugo Gonzalez in Baylor Shireman. And it's been not reported, but suggested in different ways by Shams Charania, Bill Simmons, and others that the Celtics really didn't negotiate with the Bucks. They put their offer on the table, Jaylen Brown and 2 firsts, and that's it.
The Celtics love their role players.
This used to be a problem under Danny Ainge.
They love their role players.
Danny Ainge got too attached to his own players and wouldn't trade them. And look, it ultimately worked out, but missed out on some moves that maybe could have helped the team. Brad Stevens, to this point, has not done that. And that's good. Now, look, that doesn't mean you trade everybody left and right for no reason. Another thing the Celtics have been very good about under Brad Stevens is not making moves just to make moves. I feel like the NBA has a problem of doing things solely for name value. And the trade is more exciting than the player, and a chance to just trade superstars for superstars because it's fun. And that thing, they don't do that, which is also good.
Wouldn't you say that Baylor Shireman and Hugo Gonzalez's ceiling is current Peyton Pritchard?
Maybe. But look, they're useful players. We saw it with the Knicks. You need to have depth to win a championship. But okay, you don't want to trade any of them. The Bucks want all of them. Hey, how about we'll give you one, and you can pick which you want. Or you throw Jordan Walsh in there. I think he's in this conversation too, right? So you have 3 guys: Ugo, Shireman, and Walsh. Hey, we'll give you one, but you can pick which one you want. Or we'll give you 2, but we pick the 2 we send you. And okay, we'll give you 1 and an extra pick. Or we negotiate it. Don't just put the offer on the table and be done. So, all right. I wouldn't have gotten into it to begin with. I would not have offered Jaylen Brown because now you've upset Jaylen Brown. And I kind of don't blame him. He's got his own issues going on. I don't blame him for being frustrated. Once you put Jaylen Brown on the table, you have to be all in. You have to get the deal done. I would have never poked the hornet's nest, but they did. Okay, and you don't get the deal done. Now they're asking for 4 first-round picks. I just don't see a way in which the Celtics, in trading Jaylen Brown in a player-for-player trade, end up a better basketball team in the short term. I don't see how it happens because the teams that have the players that you would want back are trying to pair Jaylen Brown with those players. One of the teams we've heard a lot about today is the Portland Trailblazers, and the Portland Trailblazers being interested. And Denny Avdija, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Denny Avdija, okay, had a really good year last year, would make some sense, would be a logical replacement, but no, they want Jaylen Brown to pair with Denny Avdija. You're not going to trade Jaylen Brown for Denny Avdija. I've seen people bring up the Hornets. Well, no, they're not going to trade Brandon Miller for Jaylen Brown because what does that do? You're just getting older at the same position. If they still had LaMelo Ball, maybe, and you're trying to accelerate that timeline and Jaylen Brown is ahead of them, but once they trade LaMelo Ball, no, they're trying to get younger. So, okay, now you have to get picks back. But that doesn't help you right away. So, they're just going to get worse right in Jason Tatum's prime as Jason Tatum turns 30? For what? Why are they doing this? This is so unlike them. They've been so disciplined and so above the just name value rot that is the NBA. And now they're doing this thing. It's very frustrating.
I think they missed the window when Giannis got traded.
So if they had traded for Giannis, I still didn't love it. They would have been better in the very short term. Now he's going to fall off quicker than Jaylen Brown.
So I would say that trading superstar for superstar is a little bit easier because both teams needed to move the guy.
It's easier if both teams want to do it. I don't think you're going to find another team at this point that's moving a superstar.
Correct. And that's why I'm saying they missed the mark.
Correct.
Giannis got traded.
So,
like, if you're trading disgruntled superstar for disgruntled superstar, there's a better chance those trades will be at equal value. Once Giannis got traded for effectively what the Celtics are trying not to do, you're kind of screwed now.
So are they screwed, or are we maybe misjudging where the team views itself? I thought this was interesting from Shams today in that quote. I'll read it back. If this is a Boston team that's been contending in the Eastern Conference, and their potential ask for some teams is a package of picks and players, how have they imagined their roster moving forwards? Their finances, their viability as a contender in the Eastern Conference. But I do think as of right now, time will tell which side will bring their urgency and matter to this matter this offseason. Talking about the Celtics and Brown maybe mending the bridge and him ultimately coming back. But what if they're just focused? Is this ownership? Are they just focused on getting under the cap? Do they have to remake the roster because the coach can't win with this roster? Which would be an issue because they could have fired the coach.
That's a point. I feel like the coach has a lot of explaining to do.
I want to get more into that, but before we do, let's talk to somebody who's more informed on that. So that was kind of my opening. I have a thesis, which I will give. But first, I want to get a little more informed, make sure I round out the edges of this argument. Jack Simone does a fantastic job covering the Boston Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. He will join us next to talk more about the latest on Jaylen Brown and the Celtics. But first, a quick check of the headlines here. It's Alex Barth in for Joe Murray.
Sports Hub headlines.
The Bruins making a trade as the NHL draft gets underway. They've acquired forward J.J. Peterka from the Utah Mammoth. They will send back
It's hard to know for sure. I mean, based on everything, I'm seeing in the rumor mill, on social media, all these talking heads, like if I had to guess, and this is not reporting, this is my assumption based on everything happening, if I had to guess, they are at least actively considering it, right? Like the one thing you can't find, right? Like you can find all the angles. You can find, they're interested, in seeing what's happening. You can find, Jaylen Brown wants to be there, or you can find Jaylen Brown doesn't want to be there. The one thing you can't really find, at least in my opinion, is the Celtics are shutting down offers. So at the very least, it seems like they are considering the options of trading Jaylen Brown. As far as the Giannis stuff, right? Like, if you read the tea leaves, if you look at the way everything went down, you look at the Celtics' history, historically the Celtics don't like to let things get out. But the Giannis trade rumors felt inevitable to be leaked in some regard, right? Like that's been the whole saga, from when the Heat were interested to a year ago when Giannis was potentially asking out. Like the Giannis sweepstakes has always been very public. So as soon as the Celtics got in the Giannis sweepstakes, it was inevitably going to come out what they offered, who they offered, et cetera, right? And I think maybe that was a risk the Celtics were willing to take to try to get Giannis. But now that it's not, you have all this blowback, all this potential to trade Jaylen Brown, and you have two playoff exits, one to the Knicks and the 3-1, blowing up a lead to the Sixers on your backs after the championship in 24. And I don't know, maybe it's just the culmination of all those things, the Giannis drama, the potential to shake things up, the way the last two seasons have ended, where it's maybe a natural point of let's see what's out there.
Do you think, and okay, so they went in on Giannis because it was a good deal, but they don't like these things getting out unless they get done. Ultimately, it doesn't get done. Now, seeing what's on the other side, do you think they wish, or just your opinion, right? It was kind of reported that they put their offer on the table. They didn't really negotiate. They didn't want to trade Hugo Gonzalez or Baylor Shireman, these bench wings. Do you think if they could do it again, they would have just put an extra bench player, an extra first on the table and gotten that deal done? And should they have done that now, seeing what's on the other side?
It's a hard question, right? Because if you say no, then you're like, so Jaylen's okay, but it's not okay to trade Ugo or Baylor. And I think the place I have landed on personally is you have to draw a line somewhere. There has to be somewhere you draw the line, because if there is no line you draw, then you're going to get in the situation that the Heat kind of found themselves in, where they made an offer, and then the Celtics put an offer, and the Bucks were like, okay, what else can you do for me? And then they had to throw in Kasparis Giacochonis, and that was ultimately what got done because the Celtics stopped throwing stuff in. So, right, we could have just ended up in a loop had the Celtics offered that, because then what if the Heat threw another swap, and then the Celtics have to throw in something else? And so I think ultimately I'm okay with where they drew the line. I think...
Let's say it was just Hugo Gonzalez. Let's say it's not Hugo and Baylor and two picks. It's just Hugo Gonzalez. Should they have offered a little bit more?
And Ugo. If it was just Jaylen, Ugo, and the couple picks, then I think you consider it. But again, I believe, regardless of what the Celtics could have thrown in, that the Bucks were going to take the Heat's offer. If you want my opinion, I think this was all a game. I think the Bucks were using the Celtics at least a little bit as a game, because in my opinion, if I'm the Bucks GM, I'm betting on the Heat being bad in 5 years more than the Celtics being bad in 5 years. Okay. And I would rather the Heat's war chest of draft picks in 2033 than the Celtics draft picks what was probably 27 this year and another first. I don't know exactly what it was. Maybe it'd have been a little further out, but I would rather take that bet. And so I think part of this was also just the Bucks kind of playing the game a little bit with the Heat. Now, if you could have thrown in, two picks, Ugo, Baylor, and another first or something to get Giannis, maybe you just send it. I find a hard time saying you should give up that much, because that's a lot of future to risk, and I think that's where you get me. It's less Ugo and Baylor in particular, but those future picks are kind of your lottery ticket out of whatever situation you could potentially find yourself in. And the part of the Celtics 2014 that people don't recognize is they got that team and built that team together without giving up a lot of picks. And so they were able to kind of make those giant moves without the gamble of trading draft picks. So I think I'm ultimately okay with where the Celtics left the line in the Giannis sweepstakes, because I think it could have all turned into even more of a tornado than it already was.
All right, we're talking to Jack Simone, who covers the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. So that's all done. That's all in the past now. The reality is they're in the situation they're in. What do you believe is the best realistic path forward for them? Is it trading Jaylen Brown? Who would it be trading Jaylen Brown for? Or is it trying to mend the bridge and just running it back with some more minor moves?
That's the hard question, because I love Jaylen Brown, right? Like, I think Jaylen Brown, as not only a player, but like as a person in the city of Boston, has been as amazing as you can be for the 10 years he's been here. I think he just came off, obviously, one of the best seasons of his career, the best season of his career, NBA second team, right? Like, the talent is undoubtable. Like, he's elite. However, with all of this, and even before all of this, there was a part of me that wondered if there could be any, question marks behind the scenes next year where, Jaylen just had his own thing. Again, this is all speculation. This is just my thoughts. But, like, Jaylen just had his own team. He just did this whole season. He just played great. He, carried the team with Jason out. Now Jason's back, and everything's just going to go back to the way it was next year. And there was always a part of me in the back of my head saying, I wonder if Jaylen's going to feel a type of way about that. So, again, you combine all these factors, and I think it could be worth seeing, what is out there, especially considering the damage might already be done if you've already upset Jaylen Brown. And, listen, in an ideal world, everybody's able to come back and you run it back with this team and you're happy and everything's good. But I don't know how realistic that is. At this point, if you want my opinion, I think they do end up trading Jaylen Brown. I don't know what it looks like. As far as the best package, I think I see this whole thing floating around of like, I think it was Shams that said the Celtics want 4 draft picks. Yep. And I think obviously that'd be great, but I think that was more of we're not going to settle messaging. Like, I don't know if they legitimately want 4 draft picks and any other players, but I think that's like, you better come to us with a legitimate offer or we're not going to trade Jaylen Brown. And in my opinion, a legitimate offer would be either a high-level, wing or scorer similar to Jaylen. Like, I know Trey Murphy's a guy people throw around there. I think if you could acquire another big man, I know the Jalen Duren stuff was going on social media. I don't know if that's a realistic thing, but like if you look at Portland, a team that potentially has had interest, Donovan Clingan, I don't know how willingly they would give him up, but like if you can find those types of pieces, those perhaps younger pieces, combine them to maybe improve your overall depth without, obviously you're not going to find a guy Jaylen Brown's caliber outside of Giannis, but like similar quality in like the Trey Murphy step down would be still a solid role player. And then the picks, like I think then you can come to terms with a package for Jaylen.
If they do keep, so you just mentioned a couple teams they could trade with there, and those names we've heard. If they do trade Jaylen Brown, if they keep him, obviously more needs to be done to the roster. They weren't good enough last year. What kind of deal would you like to see them make? What kind of move would you like to see them make if they keep Jaylen Brown?
I think adding a big would probably be best. You saw a couple names from Jake Fisher go out today about like Mitchell Robinson interest, Robert Williams, obviously reunion interest, and I wouldn't hate those names. I think they just drafted a solid project big in Chris Sinak. I think he could be a really good player down the line. Not right now, but like give it some time. I wouldn't hate a Mitchell Robinson idea. I wouldn't hate a Robert Williams idea. I think getting some sort of big that gives you something different, whether that's Mitchell Robinson's additional size and elite rebounding, or Robert Williams' athleticism and ability to switch a little bit, or if you can find another stretch big out there to sort of complement things, I wouldn't mind that. But I think even outside of that, like shot creation of any kind could be important. And maybe you find that internally. Maybe that's just giving Peyton Pritchard more responsibilities. I think he could be in for a huge season next year. I think they honestly should trust him more moving forward. I think the numbers you saw out of him, especially the advanced stuff, was like really promising. Maybe it's Trey Murphy and the trade exception. Like I think outside of the big, like just structurally, positionally, roster-wise, I think additional shot creation of some sort just to back those guys up. Because at the end of the day, right, you look at the playoffs and you look at the way things went down. Their 4 losses, they didn't score 100 points. They scored 100 points one time in Game 7 thanks to a meaningless Peyton Pritchard bucket. Like they need to score the ball more consistently in the postseason. And so I think adding extra shot creation, in addition to sort of supplementing the big man rotation, should be the goal.
Here's Jack Simone. He covers the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. Follow him on social media at Jack Simone NBA. Does some great like film breakdown stuff on there. Obviously not as much this time of year, but during the season. And great stuff on there in the offseason as well. Jack, thanks so much for taking the time on this Friday night and joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Have a good one.
You too. Yeah, I still, good stuff from Jack. Again, thanks for joining us. There's a million different ways they can go. There's no clear answer to any of this. So I go back to, I think there might have been a clear answer that they missed. And it's too late now, but I think there might have been a clear answer that they missed. What do you say we do that next, and then we give in or out a full segment at 9 o'clock, Stenberg? What do you think of that? Let's do that. So we'll be back. More Celtics talk, plus your calls on at 617-779-0985. And in or out coming up. It's Alex Barth in for Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
So we kind of talked about it. This is where I'm at with the Jaylen Brown thing and the Celtics' current spot. I'm not feeling 22 about it. It just all feels like an unforced error. And I think there was an off-ramp. There were a couple off-ramps where they possibly could have avoided this that they just didn't. And one was not offering Jaylen Brown for Giannis. I know Jack Simone said maybe they didn't want that to get out. They usually don't let it get out. That's a tough one, sure. They could have also just not got involved. I still think they can win a championship with Tatum and Brown together. I think star power still matters in the NBA. I think those are two top 20 players in the league. I mean, Tatum's top 5. Brown's at least top 20, if not top 15. Second all-team NBA last year means top 10. I still think they can win a title with this duo. They have to move the pieces around them, but I don't think you have to blow it up with Jaylen Brown. There is another member of the organization, though, that's maybe going to get in the way, and that's Joe Mazzulla. I've had my questions about Joe Mazzulla. I don't think without a super team, they're going to be able to win a title without Joe Mazzulla. They had a super team, they blew it up, and is ownership a part of this? Do they not want to spend to it? So, Felger Mazron earlier, they had B-Rob on, and really good interview, great stuff from B-Rob, but there was this one back and forth that really stuck out to me that had me yelling in my car about the situation. So I'll play it, and then I'll explain, Stenberg, if we could hear B-Rob from earlier.
Why are they doing this?
It's
talking about
Jaylen Brown. It's a fascinating question. I mean, we talked about it a bit last week. I do think there's genuine curiosity of being like, is Jaylen Brown at a point now with this core where we can't build the team we want with two supermax guys when Jaylen Brown is not a top 10 player like Jason Tatum? So do we need to construct this roster in a different way where it's more centered around Tatum, where it's guys that are, more money invested in the front court, whatever it might be? I think they're looking at all their options on that front.
Do you think it's that? Is it possible they're sick of him, or Tatum is sick of him?
I would be surprised if it's involved.
Okay, hang on, Stenberg. Pause it real quick. So to go back to the last part of B-Rob's answer there, they do need to invest more in the front court. They can do that without trading Jaylen Brown. You have Derek White, who you can use to get money off the books and match money in a trade. You have Sam Hauser, who's very tradable. Yeah, you're not going to get a superstar, but I don't think they need a superstar center. There's other ways. They do need to address front court. There's other ways they could do it with Tatum and Brown. Continue.
I would be surprised if it's involves Tatum at all. I know he hasn't said anything in these situations, but historically when we've talked to him about it, like he likes to be kept out of this stuff. He doesn't want to be involved, period. And that's something he really hasn't done throughout his career. Now, that's not stopping him from changing his mind on that front right now. He could obviously step out and make his feelings known in it, but it would surprise me if he did that. But I don't think it's involved in terms of their relationship. I think this is just the totality of what's happened to this team in the last couple of postseasons, what happened in the 2023 postseason, and what their options are to build this team going forward. And if they don't think they can put the pieces around those guys to make them viable contenders,
I just can't be
okay. And then Felger cuts them off, and
I can't believe that
they go down another tangent. And the last thing he said there is this about the way the last two, and let's call it 3 of the last 4 seasons have ended. Bad playoff exits. They lost to an inferior Knicks team. They blew 2 20-point leads in that series. It should never have gotten to the point where Tatum tore his Achilles. That series should have already been over. Last year, they're up 3-1. They lose to an inferior Sixers team. And I'm not being a green teamer. Matt Stenberg, Sixers fan. Was that Sixers team better than the Celtics?
No.
Not even close.
Absolutely not.
Look, I am not as high on Jaylen Brown as some other people. You heard Jack earlier giving him the flowers, and not just as a player, but as a person. He's done a lot in Boston. I don't want to take away from that. I've always believed Jason Tatum is the straw that stirs the drink. I think Jaylen Brown is a really good Robin, and he'd probably hate to be referred to that way. I think he's a really, really good 1B. I'll give him that. But Jason Tatum is the straw that stirs the drink. I've generally been more critical of Jaylen Brown. So it comes with meaning when I say you cannot put the playoff exits of the last 2 years on Jaylen Brown. If this is him becoming the fall guy for what happened the last 2 years, that's horrible. That was Joe Mazzulla's fault, first and foremost. The way he managed that series against the Knicks, the way he managed that series against the Sixers. We can talk about the Game 7 starting lineup if you want. No wonder they don't want to trade Baylor Shireman. He's worthy of starting a Game 7. No other games in that series, but a Game 7. If that's what this is, what a massive mistake. If the reaction, if this offseason is about the way the last 2 seasons ended, and look, I think there should be action taken after the way the last 2 seasons ended, because those were bad exits. We're not even getting into the year before they won the title. But if you're going to take action on these last 2 seasons, it is not Jaylen Brown's fault. Trading him does not remove the problem. The problem is the coach.
There were some egregious coaching decisions.
Horrible.
In this last series for the
He went full Shanahan, which isn't even really fair to him because he at least has a ring. Kyle Shanahan doesn't have a ring. But some brutal coaching. And it's become a pattern. And the only year they won, and now look, you can't say, because he does have one, they had a super team. And if you want to say, only won with that team, they should just assemble a super team every year, fine. Trading Jaylen Brown away does not get you any closer to a super team. That gets you further, especially now that Giannis is no longer on the table. So I think it's a combination of things. I think some of it is Jaylen Brown, even though he hasn't requested a trade. They're probably sensing that his time here is done. He saw what it was to be the number one guy. He liked that. Some of it's probably ownership, and they want to get under the aprons and the tax and all of that, and they don't want to pay too much. They don't want to be on the book for this extension. Maybe they want to get younger too. But if even an ounce of it is some sort of trying to rectify the issues of the last 2 postseasons, because I'll be honest, I don't care what happens in the regular season. This team is way too good for us to care about the regular season. It was a nice, fun story that they had that success without Jason Tatum. You have an elite roster, and they were the most talented team in the East. It was championship or bust. It's been championship or bust here for a long time, which, by the way, should be the standard for the Boston Celtics. Get a top 3 seed. I don't care what you do beyond that. And they've done that. If this is some sort of reaction to the playoff choking, Jaylen Brown is not at fault here. And he's not the one that needs to be held accountable. It's the coach. And if it's not necessarily holding accountable, but we need to structure the team differently to make it work for the coach, no, get a coach that knows how to use this talent.
Also, if you're asking for 4 first-round picks, how long do you think Jason Tatum has in his prime? It could be 4+ years.
I would assume
but you're also like kind of pushing it there.
I would assume that's to flip them and to turn it around and re-add the talent. But what kind of player are you looking to get with those picks? A guy who's the caliber of, say, Jaylen Brown? Stenberg, are you familiar with the old Family Guy bit, the mystery box or the boat?
Oh, absolutely. He ends up with the boat.
Right.
Yeah.
The 4 first-round picks could be anything. They could even be Jaylen Brown. You know how bad the Celtics could use a player like that. They're choosing the mystery box.
It's the same thing.
That is, to me, I use this analogy all the time. If you listen to me a lot, you know I love this analogy. It is the cardinal sin in roster building, is choosing the mystery box. Take the freaking boat. And of all the teams I thought wouldn't fall into that trap, I thought Brad Stevens and the Celtics, among all else, would know not to take the mystery box and the tickets to a crappy comedy club. And here we are.
Might even be a boat.
Could even be. You know how much we've wanted one of those? I didn't. I'll explain that later. I'll set that up, Stenberg. Maybe we can get the clip ready. We do have to check these headlines. Out on the mystery box. Out. What else am I out on? We'll do in or out after these headlines. 90 seconds, no commercials. It's Alex Barth in for Joe Murray.
From the Town Fair Tire Studio, this is
strong finger all up and go.
This is home of the 18-time world champion. Boston Sports. Boston Sports. And it is all we do. 98.5, the Sports Hub.
Felger and Maz are just his pregame.
They've been getting wholesale deals for years.
It's Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
8-5, but we are overdue for an in or out. Matt Stenberg, what do you got for me?
All right, Barth. So I know that you're a little bit of a foodie. I'm sure you follow a number of pages on, the socials.
I do like the grilling, the grilling recipe pages.
Yeah, well, there are also a number of pages that influencers like to, kind of shove down your throat. And
okay, out on influencers. We'll start there.
Okay, out on influencers.
Except Kendra. Kendra's great.
Sure.
Exception to the rule.
Yeah, she works with us. She's fine. But this is less of an influencer thing, more of a ingredient kind of thing. So
all right.
A lot of places love to put caviar and truffles on stuff. Maybe not together.
I was going to say, out on them together. That's a tough sell.
Not necessarily together, but they're both very expensive things that it seems like are constantly being put on various food items, whether it's fish or fries or things like that. So I wanted to ask you, Barth, in or out putting caviar or truffles on food?
So what's the difference between caviar and roe? Because I like roe on sushi.
I think it's the same. It's just it's just sturgeon eggs.
Okay. Oh, so maybe it's different kinds of fish.
Maybe so caviar I think is exclusively sturgeon
Okay,
eggs.
so caviar is a kind of roe.
I think roe is just fish eggs.
All squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. That's what we're doing. Okay. I'm in on the little beads they put on the sushi, whatever that is, in. That stuff's great. Big fan. I like truffle fries. I don't know when else I've had truffle, but I like truffle fries, so I guess I'm in.
Okay. I think...
I don't know how much of either of those I've had.
I think they're so pungent. Like, they're both so just overpowering to the dish that is being served.
So maybe the roe isn't as powerful, because I don't feel that way on sushi.
Okay. Maybe I'm the outlier.
No, but the whole point of truffle fries is the truffle. I've never really had it on anything else. So I taste the truffle on the truffle fries, but that's the point.
Because you see a lot of people doing like shaved truffle on various dishes.
I see people putting it on mac and cheese. Yeah,
exactly. And it's like, I feel like it just overpowers everything. It's like this. Personally, I'm not a fan of the flavor. It's just a pungent additive that I don't really need. But all right, so you're in on roe, out on caviar.
You brought up mac and cheese. Now I miss Fat Cat.
Man, I think we all miss Fat Cat.
Yeah.
All right.
Next. That did just make me think of another thing that gets put on a lot of food, but I can't think what it, but I'm like out. It's like not blue cheese. There's like some sort of like cheese thing that
feta?
People put. Yeah, out.
Yeah, I'm not a big Greek cheese guy, which I feel like a lot of people love feta cheese. I don't like it, and it actually ruins dishes for me because it's like I can tolerate most stuff. Like I will tolerate caviar and truffle. Feta, to me personally, is just it does something. It's just so overpowering. I cannot do it. I cannot do feta cheese.
All right, what else you got?
They love to do that. All right, next up. This is just kind of an interesting question that I have because we're both guys. We, venture the bars at various times, one way or the other. In or out wearing shorts to the bar?
I've done it and never really thought about it. Is this a thing? I know a Don doesn't wear shorts. I've heard that. But I'm not a Don. Not even close.
I feel like when you're like going out, you never wear shorts.
So if you're going out, if I'm going to the dive bar, if I'm going to Biddy Early's, right?
Yeah.
Is it taboo to wear shorts to a place like that? I do that all the time.
Probably not if you're just going out with your boys.
Especially
but I feel like if you're going out, then I think you can't wear shorts.
But what if so I love an outdoor bar. If it's an outdoor bar and it's hot, I'm wearing shorts. I like if I'm going by the beach or something, I'm wearing shorts. I like wearing shorts. If it's a place with a dress code, sure. But
a dress code, you can't wear shorts.
I don't know. I'm going to wear shorts if I want to wear shorts. I don't think I need to dress up to go out to the bar. The kind of bars I go to anyway. If it's like a really bougie bar, I'm probably not going. Those aren't my spots. So I'll wear shorts to the bar. I don't care.
All right, that's
if it's in the summer. Like, I'm not going to do it in the winter, but because some of those bars get really hot.
They do. That's where you wear golf pants. I discovered the golf pants.
I did get a nice breathable
like
pair. Yeah.
They look like khakis. They're breathable, and they also look stylish.
I have a couple. I have like a khaki pair. I have like an olive green pair, and I have like a dark gray pair. Maybe I could do that, but
I feel like you're not looked upon as fondly if you're wearing shorts at a bar.
I didn't know this. You have me very. I'm wearing shorts today, and I got in the car. I'm like, should I wear shorts to work? I usually don't, but I'm like, it's a night show. I'm not going to see anybody.
I'm wearing a fishing shirt, shorts, and flip-flops right now.
Well,
this is not a bar. This is work.
I would say you have to be dressed up more for work than the bar, but now you have me insecure. And to be clear, I'm wearing like a nice pair of khaki shorts. I'm not wearing gym shorts.
No. Obviously.
I'm wearing like shorts I would wear to golf.
Yeah. I'm also wearing golf shorts.
Okay. But now I'm going to have to... Next time I'm getting rid of the bar, I'm going to text you and be like, I can't figure out what to wear. I'm not a can't figure out what to wear. Look, I clearly don't care how I dress. Look at me. But now I'm going to be paranoid about it. Thank you.
I feel like that's a weird thing where it's like, I would say like, especially like women don't like it if you're wearing shorts at a bar, but maybe.
So that's been my problem.
Maybe that's just my experience. Anyway, moving on. Next up, in or out, waiting an hour for a popular restaurant.
You lost me at waiting an hour, but definitely for a restaurant. I think I've been with you. We've gone to a restaurant where it was like a 25-minute wait, and I was like, damn.
Yeah, I've learned that about Northerners. They don't like to wait for anything. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what accommodations there are to go along with the wait. They just say no.
So this is why I usually call ahead. So it depends on the circumstances of the waiting. This is going to become a sign.
A lot of places don't do reservations anymore. So it's like if this is a popular restaurant that you want to try, the wait's an hour.
I'll go another time. I'll go when there's going to be less wait. Like if it's somewhere that I can walk around and do stuff, like if it's a place on the beach or it's in the city and there, you can leave because some of them will let you leave and come back. Fine. If I have to sit there on that little bench that's in the front of all the restaurants and wait for an hour, no, not worth it. Food's not that good. Or I'll get it takeout or something. No, I don't. If I'm hungry or whatever, I don't like waiting for restaurants. I'll find a workaround.
So one of the fun things about Southern Virginia is that a lot of those places have external activities that you can do while waiting.
So if there's something like that, sure. Or even if I can get a seat at the bar and wait at the bar in my pants because I won't be wearing shorts there anymore, like, sure, fine. I'll do that. You really did. But again, it's that there's something I can picture. There's always that bench and it's not comfortable and it's like not up. It's kind of up against something, but not really. So you can't really lean back on it without like lying down. You know exactly what bench I'm talking about.
I do.
Every restaurant has this bench.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I despise that bench. 5 minutes maximum on that bench.
I feel like a lot of popular places don't have that bench. So,
or that's even worse. You got to stand by the reception desk. Not reception. It's a hotel. What is it called? Or an office.
Stand.
Hostess. Yes. You got to stand by the hostess table in that crowd. I've done that with you too down at Legacy Place.
Yeah.
And but then we went to the bar and it was fine. I don't want to just stand there and do. You got to have something for me to do. If you have something for me to do, fine. I'm not just going to stand there or sit there and wait for an hour. No. Out.
Yeah, so the longest I've ever waited for anything was 2.5 hours for brunch. But they had an outdoor bar with outdoor activities. And honestly, when it came time for us to sit, we were actually disappointed. Because we were having so much fun.
That's a little different.
Doing everything else because we were playing cards at a table under a tent in the sun where we had access to the outdoor bar.
There used to be a place in Nantasket and unfortunately just closed. And I'm bummed. Putting up condos instead. Great. I don't know if you ever went there. There was like a barcade. So there was an arcade, but you get a drink. There was a bar in it, and they had a little outdoor area with like cornhole And I remember waiting for a restaurant down there and going over there for an hour. Like, that's fine because I have other stuff to do. I'm not sitting around the restaurant for an hour. No shot. So especially like in the winter, no, out on waiting. I'll find another restaurant.
I don't want to go to a restaurant in the winter anyway.
Restaurant in the winter is the way to go.
No, stay home. Eat soup. Do your own thing.
Fair enough. If you get a restaurant that has like a fireplace and like you get a corner table, it's a little dim. Get a hearty meal, a steak, a beef stew.
You might have to wait an hour for that fireplace table.
That is true. You're not wrong.
All right, next up, this is something that we have, I think, talked about off air, but I'm going to bring it up here. I asked this with Joe the last time I produced this show. Holiday weddings. I've got a wedding next Saturday.
That would be the 4th of July.
Which is the 4th of July. My buddy is having a wedding on the 4th of July. In or out on holiday weddings?
So I feel like a loser because I keep qualifying all of these. But let's go through the holidays.
I mean, like Arbor Day, come on. Like,
no. Like legit holidays.
Legit holidays.
New Year's? Sure. Because New Year's sucks, and the worst part of New Year's is the pressure to make plans. You're with a bunch of people. Like, that's what a wedding reception is. It's New Year's. You're with a bunch of people. You're drinking. You're having a good time. Everybody's going to count it down at midnight. Especially if it's somewhere warm, you get to go somewhere warm. New Year's wedding, that would be fun. I'd be in on that.
Depends on the situation.
It depends, but I think I could be in on a New Year's Eve. Don't get married New Year's Day, but New Year's Eve wedding, yeah, I could get it. That'd be a fun. That's beat anything I do on New Year's. New Year's always sucks. So in on a New Year's wedding. What's the next like major holiday?
I would say like Thanksgiving or Christmas.
No, out. New Year's is probably, now that I think about it, New Year's is the one that's acceptable. 4th of July, no. Thanksgiving, no. Christmas, no. Halloween. I know somebody who had a Halloween wedding, and they had to put on the invitation telling people not to wear costumes.
That's funny, but also just the
vibes are not. Those are not. That's not the vibe.
I mean, I'm not a Halloween guy, so I probably wouldn't hate that. But you got to have some specifications. For that.
I went to a Memorial Day wedding or Memorial Day weekend, like. And
I don't know if I'd like that because Memorial Day again, like start of summer.
But you know what? It was right by the beach, and we made a beach weekend out of it. Me and my friends.
Okay,
it was actually a great time.
Okay,
and it was good. It was an awesome wedding too. Like one of the most fun I've had. Great job by them planning it. But
so conversely, Labor Day, similar vibes.
You got to understand what the vibes of the weekend are and plan it around that. But then I guess you could say the same for 4th. No, I'm going to say in on New Year's, and those aren't like really holidays you celebrate. In on a New Year's wedding, out on the rest. In on New Year's, out on the rest.
Yeah, 4th of July is something that you normally like go out and celebrate like with your friends.
I'm going to miss you. We usually hang out on the 4th.
Yeah.
I miss you this year.
I can't hang out with you on New Year's because I have this wedding, which it's on the coast. It's up in Maine, so it'll still be fun. But again, it's like if you had the wedding at a different time, I could have had my 4th of July and then this wedding.
Yeah.
All right, last up. Volleyball. In or out?
Just volleyball?
Just volleyball.
So, back in my play-by-play days, which I did right after, that was my first gig coming out of college. I wanted to be a play-by-play announcer, and I did my first jobs. I did a lot of play-by-play, just like all the local colleges. I got out of school. I reached out to all the local colleges. Hey, do you need a play-by-play announcer? I'm available. I used to love calling volleyball because you got paid by game, but, you know, basketball game, hockey games, like 2.5 hours. Baseball, you're getting closer to 3. Lacrosse can be on the longer side. A volleyball game was like 45 minutes. And it was a ton of action. It was boom, boom, boom. There's always something to talk about. I loved calling volleyball. Never really followed it before that. That was like, besides football, my favorite sport to call because it was fast. There was a lot of action. And I was in and out in an hour. Unless it was a tournament, but yeah, I got paid more for the tournament. So, yeah, in on volleyball was very good to me in my early 20s. In on volleyball, for sure.
Excellent. I don't know if I would know where to begin to call volleyball because I, like you, grew up in the business doing play-by-play for sports, but they were like, I wouldn't say regular sports, but it was like basketball, football, baseball.
Oh, I did a little bit of everything.
Things like that.
Field hockey.
Calling
water polo.
Water polo?
I did water polo, MIT. Very good water polo program. Or they did back down. I don't know now. It's been like 10 years. I haven't followed it. I've done competitive eating.
Do they have like jerseys? How do you know who's who?
It's not easy.
On the water polo.
Look, I did not like calling water polo as much as I liked calling volleyball. That was a lot tougher. Was not a fan of that. But yeah, I did a little bit of everything. But volleyball was super fun. I'll go in on volleyball. Marley Weirder, she works for Channel 7, played volleyball in college. So she did student radio with us, so I followed it a little bit because I followed the teams of the people who were on the radio staff.
Student radio with us, like in college?
With me. She was younger than me, so maybe not with you. I think you were out, but shout out to Ithaca College volleyball.
Shout out Ithaca College.
And we ran out the bed.
No, I just turned it down.
Oh, all right.
We're done with this.
There we go. That's in or out. We got to hit the break. 617-779-0985. You want to weigh in on any of that? We can also, I want to start talking some baseball because I do have some baseball thoughts. We haven't gotten to it yet. I'll do that next. Here it's Alex Barth in for Joe Murray.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
Clogged drain never happens at a good time. John Sewer Drain Cleaning, with locations in Woburn and Norwood, and a team of over 7.
Services, we have those too. For the guaranteed lowest price, nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Town Fair Tire.
Supercharge your brand with a powerful mix of radio, streaming audio, and digital solutions, and ensure your business gets the exposure it needs. Reach your audience during their morning commute or online with customized local advertising that delivers results. With comprehensive tools and expert guidance, we transform local businesses into household names. Partner with us for a marketing campaign that drives success.
Told me, for example, he was like, just lacrosse. We'll do lacrosse. But he ended up going with volleyball. Will and Wesley has a thought on volleyball. Will, what's up, man?
Yo, Barthy, how's it going?
Hey.
Hey, just wondering, you loved how quickly you're in and out of those volleyball games in your early 20s. Hopefully it was women's.
All right. Yeah, very funny. I actually called a couple men's volleyball games too, but it's mostly, I don't think the NCAA has men's volleyball. I know like some schools do it as like a club thing, but that's it. I also I brought this up earlier. I wanted to reference it. The Family Guy clip in reference to the Celtics, where the Celtics are right now.
Hold on. You have a choice.
Well, hang on, Stenberg. I'll set it up. So the mystery boxer or the boat. In this episode, Peter, who's the main character, and his wife, they go, and all their neighbors get invited to go to a sales pitch. I think it's for a timeshare, right? And if you go sit through the pitch, you get a boat. And so they all go, and none of them are going to get. They're like, oh, we'll just sit through it. We're not going to get in on the timeshare. We're just going to take the boat. But as Peter is getting ready to say, he tells the salesman, he goes, look, I sat through your pitch. I'm not doing it. I want my boat. And then this happens.
Hold on. You have a choice. You can have the boat or the mystery box.
What, are you crazy? We'll take the boat.
Oh, no, not so fast, Lois. A boat's a boat, but the mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat. You know how much we've wanted one of those.
Then let's just...
We'll take the box.
We'll take the box. You gave up a boat for free tickets to a crappy comedy club.
Come on, Lois. You're acting like this is the first time I've ever done something stupid. You remember the time I was supposed to get that boat?
And then it keeps going. They do a flashback to it. But
anything.
And then and then he says, like, well, who could resist the call of the mystery box? I bet nobody took the boat. And then you see all the neighbors coming by with their boats. And that is kind of a core philosophy of mine to roster building. You take the boat. Well, these picks could be anything. We could draft a player. We could trade a player. And he could be a good number 2 for Jason Tatum. Just like Jaylen Brown. And that doesn't mean you should never trade for picks. There are some circumstances where, okay, if you're an old team, your contention window's over. Maybe you trade an older player who's not going to be around when you're still good for the picks because you just need to get ahead. You need to get younger. You know, the Red Sox should be taking all the mystery boxes they can get because they're not being offered a boat on the other side, right? Even their best players. Sonny Gray's not a boat. He's not a speedboat, certainly. Maybe he's like a kayak. I had a kayak when I was a kid. Kayak's a fun afternoon. Yeah. But maybe the mystery box could be conceivably something better than a kayak.
Would you say basketball, though, has the highest chance of those picks turning into said boat?
Ooh, I would say the lowest.
The lowest? You think first-round picks in the NBA have more of a chance to bust than any other sport?
I don't think bust. I don't think there's ever that much expectation of draft picks. You get, 3 or 4 guys in the draft each year that hit. The league's talent-starved. They were talking about this year being a generational draft. And it was 7 players deep. I would say... maybe because it's the league where you're the most able to trade those, then flip those picks for other assets. But you still have to figure out that trade. That trade's not guaranteed. That's why they have the 3-team trade. You know, if the Celtics had done a 3-team trade and traded away Jaylen Brown and got back a player, or just traded Jaylen Brown for Giannis, I would not consider that the mystery box of the boat. It's trading a boat for a slightly older, more damaged boat in Giannis. But it's still a boat. I don't. Especially when...
how many first-round busts are there in the NFL? A lot of MLB guys never make it in the first round.
Well, you can't trade picks in baseball. It's more about prospects.
You can't, but I'm just saying it's like drafting guys in these sports with such a limited picks in the NBA. I feel like they hit more than the other sports.
But I don't think... you have some guys that are first-round pick. It's where the pick ends up. That's the other problem. You're trading this team a good player, so those picks are not going to be high. Unless you're the Celtics, like Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce. I mentioned the exception earlier. They were done with those guys. They were not going to win with those guys anymore. Then you take the picks. They were smart, and there was a delay on those picks, I think, 2 years before they started coming back. Because if they'd gotten those picks when Pierce and Garnett were still on the Celtics, they would not have been as good picks. And I think if you're not picking in the top 10 in the NBA, it's really hard to get an elite player. It's really hard. And if you trade Jaylen Brown to a team, I don't think that team's going to be picking in the top 10 anytime soon. So now you have to delay the picks even further, which makes them less valuable and makes them even less helpful for Jason Tatum's window. So maybe this is semantics to your question, because I do think the NBA has a lower bust rate than most leagues. I will agree with you on that. But I think part of the reason for that is there's less expected of NBA draft picks than of most leagues.
I guess the worst scenario would be like you trade Jaylen Brown to a team and then they like barely make the playoffs, which means they're out of the lottery, and then you're picking at like 18.
But isn't that what's probably going to happen for how good Jaylen Brown is? And you hear something like B-Rob was on earlier with Felger and Maz. We played some of the interview before. He was talking about, well, Portland's not going to trade Avita. They're trying to pair Jaylen Brown with him. Or if you trade him to Houston, they're trying to pair him with Sengun and these other, no, those are not lottery teams. Those are now playoff teams. So,
which is why I think the Celtics, if they are going to trade Jaylen Brown, it has to be pick-based. Because teams aren't going to give up what they want to build around him for.
Right. So I don't know. I'm not taking the mystery box. I'm not falling for it. I know it could be anything. It could even be a boat.
It could be Jaylen Brown.
I understand the allure of the mystery box. I'm not faulting people for being allured by the mystery box. The mystery box has a draw to it. It is mysterious. I know why people are drawn to the mystery box. But at the end of the day, just take the freaking boat. It's a boat. We all want a boat. Just take the boat. That's what I would do. 617-779-0985. The Red Sox have beat the Yankees 6-1 at Fenway Park. They might suck, but they're going to win a series against the Yankees. That's kind of cool. I want to get into the Red Sox and some of the baseball CBA stuff that's come out in the last couple of days I find really fascinating. But first, more on this Red Sox game, this Red Sox win in these headlines.
Sports Hub headlines.
The Red Sox have beat the New York Yankees 6-1 for their second win in a row. There's something a little fun about a bad Red Sox team beating up on a good Yankees team. There's some, if I don't tank, bottom out, they need to sell, Breslow needs to be gone, all that. But if you're going to win a couple, win them against the Yankees. Wilson Contreras homered in this one, 2 RBIs, 2 more RBIs for Connor Wong. Peyton Tolley was excellent, was perfect into the fifth. Finished 7 innings, just one hit allowed, no runs, and struck out 7. Red Sox and Yankees back at it tomorrow. The NHL draft is tonight. Gavin McKenna went first overall to Toronto as expected. They are 19 picks into this thing. The last few picks, the Kings took Elton Hermansson, right winger from Sweden. 18th overall, Washington took Oliver Suvanto, a center from Finland. 17th overall, Utah took Ethan Belchitz, a left winger from the OHL in Canada. The Bruins were slated to pick 23rd. They no longer have that pick. They've traded it to Utah to acquire forward J.J. Peterka from the Mammoth. They'll send this first-round pick and then a 2028 first. That is Florida's first-round pick they got in the Brad Marchand trade. It is top 10 protected in this deal. If the Panthers somehow bottom out, the Bruins could either send it anyway or trade their 2029 first unprotected. The Celtics still reportedly talking to teams about a trade for Jaylen Brown. Shams Charania shared this morning the C's are looking for a return of 4 first-round picks. And in World Cup action, 2 matches already final today. One of those is at Gillette, where France beat Norway 4-1. Also in the Group I finale, Senegal beat That's 13 games under 500. 617-779-0985. Would love to hear your thoughts. You actually saw a good one. It seemed like a fun night at Fenway Park. They're hitting, and Peyton Tolley, perfect through into the fifth, I believe. I think he gave up his first hit, or into the sixth, I should say. Perfect through 5, gave his first hit in the sixth. It was the only hit he gave up. Did walk 7 innings, no runs, 7 strikeouts. The benches cleared at one point. Nothing really happened. It wasn't a fight, but Will Warren took exception to the way Contreras ran the bases after his home run. The next time up, he gets on. He starts jawing at him. You get the benches clearing. Red Sox, Yankees. That's always fun. Just a reminder of what this sport and what this team could be if they cared, if they gave a damn. But it's a fun night, and they might take this series from the Yankees. That's cool. They're still not going anywhere. More bad news today. Marcelo Meyer placed on the IL, which is not great. I just realized I never put that in my headlines. I probably should have done that. Forgot to update that when that news broke before the show.
Enough.
What's up?
Your headlines have been
I've been doing long headlines tonight. I usually do very short headlines. There's a lot going on. I did run out on the bed once on Felger and Maz doing headlines. But
You've been close a number of times.
Have I actually? I didn't think they were that long. What am I going over 2 minutes?
30 seconds left. That's pretty close.
The day Doc Rivers got into the Hall of Fame, Jimmy Stewart, noted Doc Rivers hater, James Stewart, was not happy about that and decided to jump into the headline, and we tested the bed to the end. But we got 4 hours to fill, Stenberg. I'm letting the people know what's happening. But no, fun night at Fenway Park tonight. I hope it doesn't give them hope and turn them into buyers at the deadline. I still think you got to sell and you got to go down and come back up and all that. Marcelo Meyer, he's dealing with arm soreness now. He's on the IL. That's week to week, so they're going to be without him. They're down 2 shortstops. I think it's Young Che Chang got the start tonight. Did have a hit, did have an RBI. But they're thin there now. But a sign of what this thing can be and how fun this thing can be. And Wilson Contreras is a player, if you don't deal him, who I think can be a part of a contending team. Peyton Tolley continues to be the exception to the rule that this Red Sox team is unwatchable. He was excellent tonight against the Yankees, albeit a banged-up Yankees lineup, but he still pitched. Again, 7 innings, 1 hit is awesome from him. So a little bit of a sign of life from the Red Sox tonight, which is good to see. We have been talking Celtics most of the night. Brenda in Boston has a thought on that. Brenda, what's up?
I don't think they should trade Jaylen Brown because the team would never be the same without Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They were put there for a reason, and I think they should keep them together.
I agree with you, Brenda. What I worry about is they've created a scenario where Jaylen Brown doesn't want to be here anymore. And if he asks for a trade, they might have to honor that, right?
Yes, if he asked for the trade, then we have no choice. But if he didn't, I think they should keep him.
I'm with you, Brenda. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Thanks for listening. They shouldn't trade him if they don't have to. They might have backed themselves into a corner if they have to, where they have to. But I don't think they should. I think they should try to make it work. I think that's the best path out of this. I think that's just the reality of it. And because you look at what can happen, you move on from stars, and here's the Boston Red Sox, who have been trying to recover. Now, they moved on from more than one star, but have been trying to recover from that for a long time. And, it was all about the kids. It's going to here's the mystery box of the boat again, Stenberg. Not only did they sell us that the kids, the big three, the prospects were the answer, but it got to the point where we would hear that as a defense when they either passed on or moved on from veteran players. Well, you got to, you can't pay Xander Bogaerts. Marcelo Meyer's coming. And, well, we can't be in on this free agent because we got these kids coming and they're the future. We don't need the free agents. And look at what's happened. And, it's unfortunate what happened with Marcelo Meyer this year. Roman Anthony's been banged up. They ruined Christian Campbell. And for what it's worth, I think to an extent they've ruined Marcelo Meyer. I don't think it had to be this way with Marcelo Meyer. Was he ever going to be that guy? Maybe not. I think there are some intrinsic issues there, but they did not help. Talking about a lack of maturity and, can he handle being the face of the franchise? He shouldn't have to be. It's his first major league season. He's 23. He's a kid. I was talking to Maz about this earlier, and Maz's like, yeah, he's really just a kid. And I was like, yeah, and he's kind of behaving that way, and that's true. But also, he is a kid. And it's not fair to put the weight of the organization, the future of the organization on his shoulders. I'd say the same about Roman Anthony. And it compounds when Roman Anthony goes out. Ideally, you would have veterans to bridge the gap to those guys, to let those guys ease in. They sort of had that last year with Alex Bregman and others. And wouldn't you know it, the team was better and the kids were better. You put the whole... Now, look, eventually you're going to give them the keys to the city, but not at 23 years old. But that's what they did.
You think the organization panicked because they brought all of them up way too early?
No, I think it was the opposite.
You think they brought them up too late?
No, I think they did the opposite of panicking.
Oh.
I think it was hubris, not panic.
Oh.
I think they believed... I mean, look at the press conference they had when they introduced Christian Campbell. One big pat on the back. We've cracked the secret of hitting, and he's the first of many, and drive line is going to work. A year and a half later, that guy, out, gone, fired. No, I think it was hubris, not panic.
Okay. But do you think they brought them up too early?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we're on the same page with that.
Roman Anthony was probably about right. Campbell, definitely too early.
Definitely too early. I would say Meyer too early.
Meyer's a tricky one because age-wise, they brought him up at the right time, but he'd missed so much time in the minors that he's probably behind where he should have been for his age. You could debate that. They definitely they made him the face too early for sure. Yeah, no, they Meyer and Campbell definitely they were too aggressive with their development plan. Roman Anthony, I think the issues are separate. I think he was just in a little bit of a slump at the start of the season, and then he got hurt, and that's just life or bad timing, whatever you want to call it. So, but no, I don't think they panicked. I think they panic to me implies a sense of risk, a sense of we don't want to do this, but we have to do it. Something like that. Do you get what I'm saying? I think panic implies a sense of not restraint, but regret. No, I think they thought that they had cracked some secret code and that they were ready to prove everybody wrong, and they wanted to take the victory lap on everybody who doubted them for putting all the eggs in this basket. I think panic was the furthest thing from it, but it was entirely too early. Don and Carver has this thought on the Sox game tonight. Peyton Tolley, Connolly early as well. Don, what's up?
Alex, by the way, are you the real Alex Barth?
That's what social media says, yes. Don't come up with a Twitter handle when you're in the 7th grade. You'll regret it later. Anyway, what's up?
Listen, I love these two guys. I love their attitudes.
Yeah.
Their youth is infectious, and I think they care. I really do. I see a good future for both of these guys, and it's the one spot that reaches out to me in an optimistic way, and I just wanted to throw that in there. And you have a good night, Alex. I love your microphone presence, and I'm glad to talk to the real Alex Barth. Thank you.
Awesome, Don. Thank you very much. You enjoy your night as well. Yeah, talk about a bright spot. They tried to screw that one up. Remember when they wanted to pitch Peyton Tolley out of the bullpen? They tried to screw that one up, but no. Those two guys, they got something going there. Let's just clear the phone lines before we go to musings. Mike in the car going back to the Celtics. Mike, hey.
Hey, what's up, Alex?
Hey.
I read your stuff all the time on the website.
Awesome.
And I always listen to the kickoff, so I just wanted to say I appreciate your work, dude. You do a great job.
Thank you. Thanks for listening.
So if they're going to keep Jaylen, if they don't make a trade, and then they don't want to move on from Hugo because he's too valuable to get Giannis, and they don't want to move on from Baylor. They don't have enough value for him. They can't trade Derek White because that's Tatum's best friend. They're not going to change the coach. What are they going to do? Why is Jaylen Brown the only option to move to make this team better. And like, why aren't they going back at it when they have two premier players who apparently have a good relationship between the two of them, but they all of a sudden now, like, it doesn't make sense from a team perspective that he's the only way that they can get better is by moving him.
No, Mike, you're exactly right. I would argue it doesn't. That it's not the only way. It's not a way. And thanks for the call. I don't think they can trade him and get better at this point. They do have to change their roster. They need a true big. They have too many wings. I would still try to trade Derek White. And if you get a center, a true center, who is 75-80% of the player that Derek White is, I think you wear that and you take that and you lose the deal. But ultimately, Peyton Pritchard can be your starting point guard. You take the trade-off of you're getting a slightly lesser player, but you're getting better at a position where you really need it. I think they should explore that. If they're not going to move on from Ugo or Baylor or Jordan Walsh, fine. Sam Hauser is a very tradable contract. There's not enough minutes for all four of those guys. I would package together White, Hauser, and one or two picks and see what that gets you in the big man market, and then use that TPE and go find another backup guard, maybe a combo guard wing somebody. That is what I would do.
How much influence do you think Missoula has on what Brad Stevens is doing? Because
it should be the other way around.
It should be the other way around. But what I'm wondering is if they get a big who can't shoot, what is Missoula going to do with him?
So, Stenberg, it's a great question. This is what worried me with the Giannis thing.
Because they need a big.
Yeah,
I'm 100%.
No, you're correct.
In the category of they need a big to stand in the paint like a Rob Williams type of player when they had him, but he doesn't fit the scheme that the coach wants to run.
No, that was part of what I was worried about Giannis. Were they going to trade for Giannis? Now I'm shooting 8 threes a game. I go back to Brad Stevens' press conference at the end of the year. So when Brad Stevens got his current job, right? I think the question you have anytime a coach becomes a GM is he, you don't want a meddling GM. The GM needs to do the GM's job. The coach needs to do the coach's job. And was Brad Stevens going to be able to do that? He's a coach at heart. He's talked about that. And as far as we know, he's never really meddled. He's gotten the players and let Joe done his thing, and he's added players that fit Joe's system and all of that. I would argue he went too far the other way and enabled Joe Mazzulla too much.
I would say so, yeah.
But it was working, so okay, right? They won a title. Sure. If it's working, it's working. I'm not going to fault them. I go back to the end of the year press conference. Joe Mazzulla, throughout that Sixer series, kept talking about how they were getting good looks. Brad Stevens said in his exit press conference, we did not get enough good looks. That is a direct repudiation of the coach. He talked about wanting more dunks. He talked about needing to have more of a presence at the rim on both ends of the floor. Whether it's purposeful or not, that is a repudiation of everything Joe Mazzulla believes in, of Joe Mazzulla's system. The big picture question for me about the Boston Celtics this year is going to be, does Brad Stevens come downstairs more? In whatever form that looks at, whether that's him directly, whether that's him empowering assistants on the staff, whatever. Now, if you're going to force the coach to go against what he believes are his core tenets, as flawed as they may be, I would say then just fire the coach. But they didn't do that. So the fascinating thing for me now is, does Brad Stevens come downstairs more this season? Whether that be when it comes to roster construction, whether that be when it comes to strategy, whether that comes to how much certain players are and aren't playing. Do Brad Stevens' fingerprints end up more on this team than they've been? And that is going to be the question of the season, Stenberg. And we'll see. As it relates to this in the offseason, I think we are seeing early indications of Brad Stevens doing more for what he views as the direction the organization should go versus just giving Joe Mazzulla the players he wants.
Because as someone who consumed probably more Celtics games than most people, I would say when Jaylen Brown was in charge and going to the basket pretty consistently and playing more inside, they played really well. They had no expectations this year, yet they got the number 2 seed in the regular season. A lot of that was because of Jaylen Brown's mentality to go to the basket, which is kind of the antithesis of Missoula ball.
Right.
So if the Celtics are looking to get rid of the one guy who kind of maybe took a stand and was like, this is how I think we should play, then who's to say the Celtics aren't going to be way worse next year without Jaylen Brown, not just because of his talents, but because nobody else is going to be willing to do that.
It worries me. So much of the craziness of this offseason I keep coming back to, well, if Joe Mazzulla wasn't in the way, this would all make more sense. I keep coming back to that. We got to hit the break. We'll come back with the headlines. We're doing another top of the hour Joe Show segment, Musings. Me and Stenberg both really excited for something. I'll tell you what, on the other side, it's Alex Barth in for Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
Hey, Jeff from Bursaw.
historically, when he makes these deals, he's on the winning end of the value side of the trade. What I don't understand is if there is going to be such a bidding war like Chris Mannix and Brian Windhorst are saying there is, then I think Brad Stevens might have maybe overplayed his hand, undervalued Miami's offer, because the reporting the night of the Giannis trade was that it was almost a done deal. Giannis was on his way to Boston. Kalshi had it at 47% that Giannis was going to be a Celtic. And next thing you know, Giannis is traded to the Heat. So I kind of feel like maybe Brad got caught with his pants down on this one, because he either thought that the Bucks were not serious about the Heat trade, because if there's going to be such a bidding war for Jaylen Brown, that bidding war would have been used to facilitate a 3-team trade to get Giannis, because Giannis is by far the best return that you can get in this market.
Yeah. All good points, Elliot. I'd love to know, and I'll ask you, knowing what you know now, would you have included Hugo Gonzalez in an extra first-round pick to get the Giannis deal done?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. If the optics are now that you're going to take a lesser deal, and end up turning a horse into a couple ponies. Now, I don't overvalue Brown as a lot of people do. I think he's a really good player, top 25 player. But if you're telling me that you can get Giannis and the pieces that you got to throw in either Shireman, Walsh, or Ugo, as opposed to now trying to facilitate a trade to Portland for other pieces, just get the best player in the deal, which is Giannis.
Yeah, Elliot, and thanks for the call, man. Appreciate it. I'm with you 100%. Something I'm surprised that has not been talked more about, maybe because it hasn't been reported definitively, it's been hinted at, but I'd like to talk about these hints a little more, is that I don't know if the Celtics negotiated with the Bucks. I don't think they did. I think they kind of just put out what they were going to put out and said, there's our offer. Take it or leave it. And that's not how these deals work. So this was Shams just after the trade. Quote, after the Giannis trade. Quote, the holdup in those conversations ultimately became the Bucks wanted more assets. They wanted a couple young players, Hugo Gonzalez, Baylor Shireman, potentially others. They wanted more first-round picks, more swaps. But was there middle ground to be had? But at the end of the day, my understanding is the Celtics were not willing to part with enough players and assets to get a deal done. The offer stood as Jaylen Brown, a couple of first-round picks. That quote in there. Was there middle ground to be had? The teams didn't explore that? Like, why is Shams asking that? Why were the Celtics not asking that? And then Bill Simmons, who's been very plugged in on this, on his podcasts after the trade, his emergency reaction, Giannis trade, quote, from a Boston standpoint, this whole thing's been confusing. They made an offer 2 weeks ago that I don't think they changed. And I think it was Jaylen Brown and it was a couple of picks and that was it. And I think Milwaukee said, all right, when we get close to the draft, we're going to come back and we're really going to figure this out. And I don't think Boston really wavered. I think Boston was like, that's kind of our trade, guys. We don't really need to do this. Now the risk for the Celtics is that this came out and Jaylen was in trade rumors, and what's going to happen with this? That's major malpractice if the Celtics didn't negotiate this. I understand, and Jack Simone said it earlier, and he's right. You have to have a line somewhere. You can't give up your whole team. And, okay, Baylor and Ugo and Walsh in 3 firsts is too much for Giannis. Agreed. Did they ever stop and be like, okay, well, you want all 3, we'll give you 1, and you can pick which one? Or we'll give you 2, but we get to pick which 2? Or we'll give you 1 and an extra pick? All right, no players, but we'll throw on all the picks you are. Something, negotiate it. If Jaylen Brown and 2 firsts is as much as you're willing to offer, don't offer it. Not with how tenuous this has been with Jaylen Brown in recent years. I'm going to cross sports. Sorry, Felger. I said this during the A.J. Brown trade. Was the A.J. Brown trade an overpay by the Patriots? Yes. Was it worth it? Yes. If you want to add that kind of player, if you want to make that kind of deal, you have to be willing to get uncomfortable. We chastised the Patriots for years for not getting uncomfortable in making the trade when all these receivers became available. We could go back to DeAndre Hopkins, to Odell Beckham, to Larry Fitzgerald. And sometimes they were right. I don't know if you've seen what's going on with Brandon Ayuk recently. Sometimes they were right to not get uncomfortable in that situation. Putting Jaylen Brown out there alone is not being uncomfortable when you're talking about a player like Giannis. If you're trading for a lesser player, fine. That was not uncomfortable. And if you're not willing to get uncomfortable in this conversation, don't go in there. You want to offer White, Hauser, and picks? Fine. Don't put Jaylen Brown on the table if you're not willing to go all in. The morning of that trade, Brian Windhorst said on ESPN, the Celtics are all in. That felt informed. And I wonder if that was the Celtics trying to spin it. Because Jaylen Brown at 2 firsts, I'm not as high on Giannis as everybody else. But for a 2-time MVP, Jaylen Brown in 2 firsts is not all in.
So, Barth, not having Hugo Gonzalez on the trade block is insane to me because I don't know if you remember what he did in the playoffs. How many minutes total?
I think he got benched. I know he only played in 4 games.
So he did play in 4 games.
Yeah.
In those 4 games, how many minutes do you think he played?
I just wrote this up for the website, so I should know. It's less than 10, right, per game?
Well, per game, yeah. He played a total of 19 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm assuming because you wrote this up, you know how many points he scored in the series.
I did the per game averages, but it's not many.
Guess how many points he scored in the series?
Like 8?
0.
Was it 0? Okay.
He did not score a point.
I wrote I included Baylor Shireman in this write-up, so my wires might be crossed.
Okay, so anyway, Hugo Gonzalez.
Yeah. This is the guy we're not trading for Giannis.
He's the guy you're not trading. He scored no points in the Sixers series, played a total of 19 minutes.
He could even be a boat.
He could be a boat.
Look,
this is the guy you're not willing to move. He did nothing for you.
Let me add this important caveat. This is not to dump on Hugo Gonzalez. I actually kind of like Hugo Gonzalez as a player. I think he's a fun project.
Sure, but as somebody who's not tradable?
Right, no, they're taking it way too far, and it's unfair to him. What's this season going to be like for him? If he comes out of the gate slow, and they're struggling, and the Heat are rolling, what a horrible look, and it's not his fault. But what a tough look that's going to be. I was talking to some green team or Celtics fans, and they're defending it at first. You don't know, this hasn't been reported, blah, blah, blah. They might, and now even they're coming around. They might have botched this. Brad might have botched this. And I'm a big Brad Stevens fan. He might have botched this. And the stakes are tremendously high. You're talking about the peak of Jason Tatum's career. And they might have set themselves back. Bob in Wilmington on the Celtics. Bob, how you doing?
Good. How you doing, guys?
Good.
I think you're all wet on this whole Celtics thing. First of all, the reason that I heard from multiple sources that Milwaukee didn't trade for us is they didn't think they could get Brown to extend for them. So Brown and two firsts was a good trade. They thought they were going to have trouble extending him, and that's why they backed out of it.
He's in a 3-year deal.
And they're picking on Gonzalez. He's an 18-year-old kid. How many 18-year-old kids are going to rise to the...
No, I'm not picking on Gonzalez. I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying that it is unfair, the pressure they've put on him.
Well, Mazzulla showed what a complete imbecile he was in that series.
Yeah.
The starting lineup he had for the last game, that was ridiculous. The fact that he has no motion offense at all, and it's all this, what do you call it? I call it a hero ball. Everybody stands at the 3 waiting for
ISO
the ball.
Yep.
It's boring as goddamn hell.
All right. I think, do we have to drop that? Yeah? Okay. Good call up until that. Good call up until, Yes and no, actually. I'm saying I'm not dumping on Hugo Gonzalez. I want to be very clear about that. I think it's unfortunate the situation they've put him in. And Baylor Shireman to a lesser extent. I don't know why it just became about Baylor when they were just about Hugo when they were both involved. But like, those guys have to be good now.
Also, Jaylen Brown is under contract for 3 years. Teams don't have to worry about extending him past 3 years.
There was a report that the Bucks were uncomfortable about Jaylen Brown being willing to stay in Milwaukee. You know who owns the Bucks? Part owner. Did you see this report?
I don't. I have no idea.
Jimmy Haslam, who owns the Browns, and supposedly
that's really funny.
He was a little afraid after what happened with Myles Garrett. He's a little gun shy about keeping superstars around. Maybe just make your teams better so they want to stay. How about that for an option, Jimmy? But if you're not going to do that, I guess, yeah, you worry about Jaylen getting out. But again, I think you said it earlier, Stedberg. Well, then find a third team. Then find a third team to get the deal done. Maybe Milwaukee was a little wary of that. I think that's probably a little overplayed in that report. But again, you find a third team to get them a player they are more comfortable with, I would say. This has been, between talking about the Celtics, the Red Sox, this has been a pretty negative show for my standards. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to have to do that. I don't want to lie. I don't want to have to put the rose-colored glasses on. This has been a pretty negative show. So musings, which is usually complaints, I think Stenberg and I are going to get excited for something instead. We're going to flip the script. We'll do that next. It's Alex Barth in for Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
Don't go anywhere. There's more Joe Murray. On the way on 98.5 The Sports Hub.
If you're visiting Boston Seaport, check out the brand.
show, Murray. We've got a delayed musings and, as you can tell, a theme for musings. Because as I said earlier, it's been a pretty negative show. I figured we'd get positive. Stenberg and I both kind of gamers. We're actually finally starting to get the GTA 6 rollout. How about that, huh? Excited, Stenberg?
Oh, absolutely.
Although I will say, so I had to get like an extension for my console. All right, we're going to be bad.
In the world unrelated to sports. So sit back, relax, and get your mind in the game and listen to the words of a grown man complaining.
I've only played GTA for the story. I played GTA 5 online, didn't like it.
Oh, the GTA 5 story is fun, though.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like I played GTA for the story.
Oh, I only played GTA for the numeral, the story. Okay.
No, I enjoyed the five story. It kind of took me a little bit to get into it because you kept having to bounce between protagonists.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I really enjoyed it. I never got into the online play because people were just kind of bleep holes about everything.
I mean, they are.
And
I was never an online gamer about anything until the pandemic. And then there was nothing else to do, right? And then they kind of ruined it. They made these like flying motorcycles that just made it all too easy, and people were real bleep holes with that. But
I remember
I'm ready for a new one.
During my first GTA 5 online like experience, I had like this really sick like pickup truck that I like tricked out, spent a lot of time on, and then someone just stole it. And then I was like, well, this is stupid. Why would I ever bother
you can
playing
get it back.
Can you? I didn't think about that.
There's like something playing. You do when you set it up.
I just stopped playing after that. I was like, well, this guy stole my investment that I spent a lot of time on, and I just don't care.
So I was thinking, like, I haven't played it in a couple years now. They are putting out one more update for 5, like a new heist. The week or two before it comes out, I'm probably going to go back and play GTA 5 again.
So this could have been something in or out. Or out DLC constantly, or just a new game.
I'm going to qualify it again. It depends on the game. I'm in. If you're not going to release the game once a year, like they could not have. I think for GTA, the DLCs were good. I don't think we needed a new game that constantly because having this much time in between allows you to make a really epic game. I know some sports games want to go to that model. I think the 2K golf game is on that model where they release one like every other year and they do DLCs in between.
So I'm on team take your time personally because if you keep releasing games, they're not going to be as good as what they could be.
I'm with you, except sports games, I think you kind of have to release every year.
Yeah, sports games.
And that's 99% of what I play.
Yeah. I mean, I play a lot of sports games as well. But I remember when, I'm a huge Pokemon fan. And when Scarlet and Violet came out, it was very rushed. The game was so laggy. It was so bad. And it works well on the Switch too. But when it came out on the Switch, it was almost unplayable. The game itself was fine, but the gameplay element was so bad. And so with Generation 10 coming out next fall, when they announced it, it's like, okay, awesome. Please take your time because now it's actually going to be playable and very good. I don't need it this fall. Do it next fall. I'm all in on that boat. But for some games like GTA, I'm also a big Elder Scrolls fan. We haven't had a new Elder Scrolls game since 2011.
I mean, there's a tipping point there. You can wait too long. But yeah, no, I like when they push GTA back, it's like, well, just get it right. If they pushed it back and it sucks, everybody's going to be like, well, you could have given us the stuff 6 months ago. But if it's really good, I don't think anybody will bemoan the wait too much. I mean, we've already bemoaned it enough. But
I don't think a GTA release has ever disappointed us.
So I never played GTA until the pandemic. So I don't even remember. Like, I remember GTA 5 coming out because I remember my friends playing it and talking about it, but like I wasn't super into it. But then I got really into it during the pandemic. I also like maybe Call of Duty had it cracked where it was produced by the same like overarching studio, but they would have different studios work on them. So they would put one out every year, like a titled Call of Duty game, but each one was worked on for 3 years independently.
Right.
So maybe that's more the model, but then they also put out too many and they ran out of ideas and now they suck.
Yeah, the Modern Warfare franchise was produced differently from like the Black Ops / World of War community.
We ran through the bed again. Well, this is
a way shorter.
This is a longer segment than it usually goes. You're right.
And I was not paying attention to when the bed was going
when
to
the
run
producer's not listening. But no, I'm excited.
No, this is the producer was listening too hard.
Too intently, yes. Did you pre-order it yet?
No.
I did yesterday. I'm in.
I
baby.
didn't even know it was available for pre-order.
Yesterday was the first day. So between that and college football, and the nice thing is, and I've been talking about this for 2 years, I can't believe it happened. It's like threading a needle. The Patriots bye week is GTA comes out the Patriots bye week. So I think
that's helpful.
I think comes out on a Thursday. So we usually have availability through like Wednesday. I mean, come on.
So you never played any of the other GTAs?
I've gone back and played them. I was a Saints Row.
That's right.
Person.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Because I think like my parents didn't want me having GTA, but they didn't know what Saints Row was.
They didn't know it's just the same.
It just
game.
wasn't called GTA. the first two Saints Rows hold up.
They were very good.
They're right
I
there.
Very much enjoyed them
with the prime GTA games, and then they wanted to like distance themselves from GTA, and then 3 was okay. There's one mission in 3 that's awesome, and then the rest of it's whatever. And they do all the alien stuff in 4 and the stuff with.
I never played past 2. I think I got 3 and just couldn't do it.
3 is worth a playthrough, I will say. If like it's not the greatest game ever, but you'll enjoy it. You'll have some fun. It's not super deep. 4 is literally just a replay of 3, but you have superpowers. That's literally it. And then Keith David's a little more involved, the actor.
Have you played like GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas?
I think so, yeah. They put out like a pack of the old ones.
Okay.
During like a couple years ago, and I just played them all. And I'll be honest, I didn't pay attention to the title. I just played all of them.
GTA 3 is kind of difficult to replay.
Okay.
Vice City is easier to replay. San Andreas has so much replayability. That's my favorite, personally.
I would say the first 2 Saints Rows have a ton of replayability. The third and the fourth kind of drop off.
I like the second Saints Row more than the first.
The second was like they built on the first one. It's not a completely new game. They built on the first one very well.
Yeah, they also gave your character like a voice, which
you don't talk
in the first one.
No, there's like 3 little cutscenes where he talks very briefly.
Briefly.
At the end of each kind of story. But no, the second one was all-time game for me. All-time game. Anyway, there's some musings for you. We'll bring it back. We'll reset what we've been talking about. I've been teasing this baseball thing, this MLB thing I want to get to. We'll do that next. After these headlines, it's Alex Barth in for Joe Murray on the Sports Hub.
Sports Hub headlines.
The Bruins started the NHL draft. It's been a long night. The Bruins started the NHL draft by making a trade. They sent their 23rd pick as well as a protected 2028 first they got from Florida to the
salary cap and these proposals as they go on top of each other, starting with the salary cap first, then going to entry for amateur players. And now on top of that, putting a maximum salary in place did not land well with them because you got to understand, Major League Baseball currently has a contract for 15 years and $765 million that belongs to Juan Soto. And so when you're suggesting to players that you're going to get maximum 1/3 of the years and maximum 26% of the money that Juan Soto got, it's hard for them to digest and to say to themselves, why would we limit ourselves like that when they believe in reality no cap is needed in Major League Baseball?
Well, and Jeff, as you mentioned, these players have never had a salary cap. That Juan Soto contract that you referenced there, reflective of that. But what would it take for the players to agree to a salary cap?
I'm not sure, Madeline, that the players would ever agree to a salary cap unless Major League Baseball can break the union. And that's what we're looking at right here. It's what they tried back in 1994 when the World Series wound up being lost on account of it. And Bruce Meyer, the MLBPA interim executive director today, talked about how he hasn't seen solidarity like this among the players at his time at the union. And so for now, the players seem to be together in opposition of the cap. The question, of course, is going to become if Major League Baseball locks out the players on December 1st when the basic agreement expires and we get toward the regular season when paychecks could be missed, are the players going to be as solid then as they are now?
A salary cap would be good for baseball. But they're going about it in like the worst way possible. So salary floor, good. And the initial offer I thought was a generous floor. I think it was like 170 something million. The cap they put was in the 200s. That's too low. It's got to be in the 300s. But the way they're doing the cap, it's like this Frankenstein's monster of all the worst parts of the salary caps of the NFL, NHL, and NBA. And they're doing bird rights stuff. The aprons from the NBA cap sucks, as we're seeing right now for the Celtics. Part of the reason the Celtics have to do this is because the NBA cap is a dumpster fire. Adam Silver's done a horrible job with that league. But my question to you, Stenberg, as I think about this, if you were advising Major League Baseball on how to set up a salary cap and you were just going to copy and paste the cap system from one of the three major leagues, which one would you use?
I feel like that's a trick question because I am under the impression that baseball cannot do a salary cap. They've already gone this far. So many contracts are already exceeding so many things.
You'd have to find ways to grandfather it in and all of that. But let's say you say any contracts that are signed are signed. And here's how I would do it. I would say any contracts on the books are on the books. Starting now, and you started off as like a $50 million cap and then 100, and you gradually increase it every year over like 3 or 4 years until the cap's in place and those old contracts are grandfathered.
I'd probably go the NFL route.
I'd go NHL.
I don't know enough about the NHL.
The NHL cap is if you sign a $7 million contract, you get paid $7 million and it counts $7 million against the cap. It's just black and white. You don't have to do...
But then what's the cap?
What do you mean?
Like, what is the cap?
Oh, you can set the number at whatever you want. So you have the NFL, which has a cap that involves bonuses, and you can earn or lose cap credits based on incentives, plus money carries over from year to year. So every team's working off a slightly different cap number. And there's void years in the contracts and guarantee money and things like that. You could use the NBA cap, which is a soft cap, which teams can go over to re-sign their own players. You have the contract matching, which allows you to get around the cap. You have bird rights, which allows you to keep your own players, things like that. Or you have the NHL cap, which is dollar for dollar. And it can't be maneuvered. There's no machinations to it.
But what's the max?
You'd figure out what the max is for so that's the other thing. They're talking about max contracts. I hate the idea of max contracts in basketball.
No, but what's the most money an NHL team can spend?
Oh, I don't know. It would be higher for baseball. You would set that number. You'd figure out what that needs to be for baseball. Like you'd negotiate that with the players.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that does make the most sense. Each league has their own max cap.
So I meant more the system. Which system would you use?
Oh. Yeah, then if the NHL is the most straightforward without the worst, parts of guaranteed money, no incentives, then sure, I'll choose that.
There's like some incentives, but they don't really impact the cap or whatever. But
I just don't want a cap in baseball.
You're against this.
I'm against all of this.
Why?
Because I want teams to be able to spend what they want on players. Honestly, if I was going to do some sort of system, I would do what European soccer does. You get one guy to spend whatever you want
One uncapped player.
And then you have a cap. That's what I would probably do for baseball if I had to choose some sort of cap system.
That's not a bad system for baseball.
I don't think baseball is in that bad of a place to the point where it needs this. Obviously, owners don't want the bidding war, and that's the issue here.
Okay, can I throw in some things that I think would help the sport, even if there's no cap, that I've seen proposed in the last couple of days?
Sure.
Shortening the maximum length of contracts. Not the money, but no more 15-year contracts.
No more Bobby Bonilla.
Right. Well, so my next one was going to be no deferred money. You pay Shohei Ohtani $800 million.
That's the deferred money thing.
Yeah. If it's an $800 million contract over 10 years, you have to pay the guy $80 million a year. No $2 million, and we'll give you all the money when you turn 60. Come on, they have to do that.
I'm fine with that.
Because if you say you want these teams to be able to spend as much as they can on these players, fine. I can see the argument for it, but then the teams have to actually spend the money. And that goes hand in hand with the limiting the contracts and the length. I do think players should hit free agency earlier, and it would hurt the minor leagues, and that's unfortunate. I actually think they should do something like what college football is proposing or college sports is proposing, because you have these guys playing college to like 28, 29. So the new proposal is you get 5 years. Period, full stop. You get, or I think it's up until an age. I think it's 5 years or 23, whichever comes first, 23 years old. I think that.
That would be 5 years.
Well, some players, some guys come out at 17, like if you have like a late birthday.
That's fair, yeah.
Or whatever. Or it prevents you, like if you go to college late, right? If you start at 19, it prevents you from hanging around. So it incentivizes you to get in instead of doing the extra prep year or whatever. But I think with baseball, so right now the way it works in baseball, you have, I think it's 8 years of team control on a rookie contract, right? Or is it 6? I think it's 3,
I think it's 6, and some of those 6 years are arbitration eligible.
Right. You have 3 years where you're just renewable contract, you get tendered, and then you have 3 of arbitrations. You have 6 plus the year you get called up. So it's really 7. It's 6 or 7 depending on when you're called up. Right? 6, 7.
Don't do it.
But the clock starts when you're called up.
Correct, which is the whole situation where teams won't bring up certain prospects until May.
So here's what...
Because of that situation, you get extra time with them.
So what they really should do is it starts when you're drafted. I would get rid of the high school draft. You send the players... What they really should do is no more high schoolers drafted and get rid of the international signing. Put everybody in the draft. I don't think they will do that. I don't know if they can do that. But that's what I would do. But no more high school players. You got to go to college, and the clock starts once you're drafted.
Do you think baseball has a problem with this? Because I just don't think there's an issue at all. Like, I'm fine with kind of everything that baseball is doing.
Look.
If we implement some sort of a salary cap type situation, all we're doing is rewarding teams like the Pittsburgh Pirates, who never want to spend anyway.
So
we're just rewarding really bad teams.
I think the cap's coming whether you like it or not. And where I look at it is, how do you sell this to the players and prevent a work stoppage. And so
I don't think you can.
Well, so this is part of my pitch. You get the clock starts on your contract when you're drafted, not when you're called up. And maybe you call it 8 years instead of 6, but it starts when you're drafted. So it incentivizes teams to call up players quicker. That would be part of my pitch.
But don't you think you're just going to get a worse product?
That's why you get rid of the high school draft. So at least these players are further along. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be really ugly.
I don't like that either.
Do you think there's a chance that this resolves without a cap?
I don't know. I just don't want a cap. I
think it's coming whether you want it or not.
I don't know what the owners are going to have to do in order to appease the players.
Definitely earlier free agency. That's going to be the big one. Guys being able to hit, like in every other sport, guys being able to hit free agency at 25, 26 years old instead of at 30. Because it's, okay, well, I need an opportunity to have more big contracts.
It's not always at 30. It's when you become major league eligible.
A lot of guys, it's like 29, 30. You don't see that many guys in their mid-20s in free agency in Major League Baseball. It's very rare. I think it's most players hit free agency 29 or 30, would you say?
Probably. So,
right.
So what do you do about the college rule? You either go after your freshman year or you have to stay for 3. You keep that?
Yeah, something like that. So just anything that accelerates the process of call-ups. Which, again, I think goes back to...
It just dilutes the product, though.
But you have to change the way team control works. You can't have that much team control and have players hitting free agency earlier. Doesn't work. I'll give you one more the MLBPA is pushing. This was an interesting one. And this is separate to it. I don't even know if they have this power. I don't think this is something that they can do in the CBA. It's from Jeff Passan earlier today. The Major League Baseball Players Association wants to pursue a ban on all MLB-related prop bets, aiming to combat harassment from disgruntled gamblers. So, first off, if you're the person that DMs athletes because you lost a bet, you're the worst person.
Yeah.
You are the worst kind of person.
You should be banned from every betting platform if you do that.
I get some stuff just as a reporter. Not a lot, but a little bit. I can only imagine what the players are getting. You are scum. You are the bottom. You are the worst. You lost your bet on the decision that you made. Do not threaten people's families over it. It is not that big of a deal. And if it is that big of a deal and you bet that much money, call the number. That being said...
That's on you.
It's absolutely on them. I don't think... Can Major League Baseball... Maybe to an extent, because they're partners with a lot of these gambling companies, they can say, hey, no individual player props. This was a wild one to me.
I don't know the legalities of this. We got to get McCarthy's brother in.
Okay. I'm all for
He's a lawyer. Maybe he would have information.
Look, I'm all for the league standing up to the gambling companies, though. They've been in bed with them too much. A little bit of pushback, good thing. Good thing. Not that Brendan Sorsby should be in the NFL right now. Did you see Canada said he can't play?
Good for Canada, taking a stand.
So it was funny. I was talking to Evan Lazar about this the other day. Like, is he going to go to Canada and play? Even if he wanted to, and he could, the funny thing about it, and it's 10:51, so I think I can get this niche. It's like the golden age of quarterbacking in Canada. There's no teams that need a quarterback. And it was so funny. After he got banned by the NFL, all of the Canadian teams on social media just started posting like unprompted hype of their quarterbacks. They sent Gruden one of those packages, and it was the league did, and it was jerseys of all the quarterbacks. They had a big middle finger to Brendan Sorsby, like, we don't need you. Quarterbacking in Canada is strong right now. I found that very funny.
Incredible. Incredible.
617-779-0985. Alex Barth in for Joe Murray. We'll wrap it up after this.
More Joe Murray coming up on the Sports Hub.
Lobster Lovers Weekend is back at the 99 Restaurant this Friday through Sunday. Order their famous
on Sunday. I got you for 3 hours on Sunday. Do more on the latest on the Celtics. We'll get in a little more Patriots. We didn't really do any Patriots tonight. We can do some Patriots stuff on Sunday. And then holiday shifts start. I'll be back with you Thursday night, Friday 10 to 2, and then Monday and Wednesday the week after. And, of course, more on 98.5thesportshub.com. We had Ty Anderson earlier talking about the Bruins trade. Which, should we just say it a couple more times? J.J. Peterka?
J.J. Peterka.
Good trade, good name. Maybe the Celtics will have a trade for us. A little bit of Celtics adjacent news. I'd seen some people suggest that Isaiah Hartenstein could be a trade target for.
From the Town Fair Tiger Studios, this is Boston's home for sports. Touchdown! The flagship station of the Patriots, Bruins, the Celtics. WBCFM and HD Boston 98.5, the Sports Hub. Leslie Media Group Station, celebrating 65 years of broadcasting.
Tonight's two late games at the World Cup about to start. On FS1, it's Egypt looking good with already a win and a tie, playing against Iran in Seattle. Meanwhile, in Vancouver on Fox TV, Belgium with 2 ties so far is facing New Zealand. Cape Verde played a third straight tie, 0-0 against Saudi Arabia tonight. Cape Verde advances to the next round, smallest nation ever to do so at a World Cup. Spain won its group, eliminating Uruguay 1-0. Senegal still alive after a 5-0 win over Iraq, which exits 0-3. France 3-0 after beating Norway 4-1. Norway rested most of its starters. WNBA wins for Chicago and Connecticut. Scottie Scheffler shot a second-round 60, leads in Connecticut by 2 strokes. Baseball, the Brewers won their 5th straight. White Sox 22-1 over Kansas City. I'm Steve DeSager.
On social media, on the daytime talk shows, nighttime shows, radio shows, and we're telling you right here first, like we always do, because the name of the show should be Ahead of the Curve with Jason Smith and Mike Harmon, because we are.
This is Ahead of the Curve with Jason Smith and Mike Harmon. All those other little talk shows should take notice.
Attention!
Because